Brentford against Nottingham Forest with Danny Gabidon and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Mark. Well, I've got to say, it's got a real end-of-season feel here at Brentford, with the sun shining, pleasant warm afternoon. And if you're thinking, well, of course it must, we're at the end of April. I'm not having any of that. I was at Goodison Park on Thursday and it felt in the middle of winter. It was Baltic on Thursday night. But here, Danny Gabidon, what a game is in store.
Yeah, I got to say then, I woke up this morning, I wasn't sure what to put on. The weather's been that kind of iffy and all over the place. The sun was shining when I woke up, but still wasn't quite sure. I don't trust the weather at the minute, but yeah, it has got that kind of feel to the game. Sun shining, beautiful day for football, and what an important afternoon it is for Nottingham Forest. At the back of that fantastic midweek win against Brentford Albion, they really need to follow that up again. You look at the remaining fixtures, Southampton at home after this one, obviously a huge one. Then it gets really difficult. Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, Crystal Palace away to finish. And we know about Nottingham Forest away form this season. It has been really poor. So tough ask coming up against the Brentford side. They've had a fantastic season, excellent at home, but they need to try and pick up another 3 points if they can.
Well, Brentford are in their red and white striped shirts, black shorts. They'll be playing in the first half from right to left as we look against Nottingham Forest in their yellow shirts and blue shorts. The team news is that Brentford have made 4 changes as we're underway. Hickey for Rurslev, Sharda for Wissa, and Mbuma comes back into the side, the Cameroon international. That is for Onyeka, and Damsgaard starts instead of Jorgensen. So they've actually gone with a flat back 4 of Brentford, whereas Nottingham Forest playing with 3 at the back. They've made the 1 change, and that is Worrell coming in for Nico Williams, the Welsh international who's out for the season with a broken jaw. But if they're able to build on that terrific win against Brighton, going into the next game against Southampton, what a platform then to stage a late escape.
Oh, 100%. I think it was 11 games without a win going into that midweek game against Brentford Albion. I think it's the first time that they won a game going behind. First time I think this season they scored more than 2 goals in a game. So that will give them massive amount of confidence going into this one. So it's all about kind of building that momentum towards the end of the season. Winning midweek obviously got them out of the relegation zone, which is also a big psychological thing as well. But they're going to have to perform equally as good this afternoon, because this Brentford side are a difficult team to play against.
So Nottingham Forest, whose supporters are in the far corner, in the bottom section. They're bathed in sunshine as the ball is hit high, headed away by the blonde-haired Worrell for Nottingham Forest. Mangala goes into that challenge, and the referee has given a foul against the Nottingham Forest midfielder. That's Peter Banks. Had a good look at it and then decided that there was a free kick to the home side. He actually had sent off Mangala for Nottingham Forest against Tottenham in the League Cup earlier in the season, but he's going to let that one ride. There's going to be no action taken against him.
Yeah, that midfield area is going to be really important this afternoon. We know how workman-like Brentford are in that area. Mangala and Danilo, who I thought was excellent in midweek against Brighton. Big job on for them too in that midfield area to try and control things, break up play.
So Jensen stands over this free kick. It's about 6 yards forward of the centre circle. Quite a central position for Brentford. But the line of yellow, with the exception of Johnson, is spread out just outside the D. So what's that? Just under 25 yards out from Keylor Navas. In it goes now, chipped into the penalty area, partially cleared, and Awoni will bring it away for Forest, but he runs into trouble as Janelt, but then he actually wins the ball back, does Awoni, and he's done well over on that far side, and all of a sudden they've got runners through, they're going the middle. Gibbs-White, Johnson ahead of him, Gibbs-White holds on to the ball, and then he can't quite pick out Aurier on this near side, the right. But Gibbs-White snaps into the challenge, puts pressure on the left back for Brentford, Rico Henry, as Ben Mee then helps tidy up things for Brentford. But for a moment, for a fleeting moment, it looked promising for Forest.
Yeah, just an opportunity for a counter-attack there. They are dangerous in those areas, not enough force with the forward players that they have, particularly when they can get the ball into the feet of Awoni, use his kind of physical presence, and then you've got the pace of Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson either side. On that occasion, it was poor from Gibbs-White as he got the ball laid into him, Forest set off on the counter-attack, and it was a simple square ball out wide to the right-hand side here, and he just undercooks it.
Ball played forward by Jensen. Henry's quite high up on this near side to left, down by the corner flag for Brentford attacking. In goes the cross, headed away by Felipe, and then cleared by Mangala. We welcome listeners to the BBC World Service, to our commentary here at Brentford. So wherever you are in the world, always a pleasure to have your company this afternoon. It's Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 0, on what is a glorious sunny afternoon in the capital, West London. As Brentford coming forward with Tony. Niakate stops him rather abruptly, and it'll be cleared away by Lodi over on that far side. If you've not been to Brentford's ground, the G-Tech Community Stadium, it's a mile away from their old home at Griffin Park. It's where they moved here 3 years ago. Just over 17,000 supporters, and it is shoehorned next to the M4. The train line is that runs out of Waterloo, and then we're close to Kew Bridge next to the Thames as well. They've done ever so well to actually get a football stadium in somehow, and they create a really good atmosphere as well, the Brentford supporters. As Awoni for Nottingham Forest outside the centre circle, plays the ball back. Mangala tidies things up. 5 minutes played. Worrell, Aurier looking comfortable in possession.
Yeah, they are. Awoni has made a good start to the game already, using that kind of physical presence to kind of hold the ball up, and that's going to be really important for Nottingham Forest today. His hold at play to release the attacking players either side of him.
We're going to Brighton in a moment, but Gibbs-White out to Aurier. Aurier delivers it in low, straight towards the goalkeeper. Goal at Brighton, Jonathan Overend.
Ball's in the net. Brighton think they've scored, but there is a long VAR check. It's very, very close. Dennis Undav is the man who's got a flick on Danny Welbeck's back heel in the box. It's so tight. What is unclear actually is whether the goal was actually given on the field of play or not, because there was total confusion with all players. Brighton didn't really celebrate that much. We're still waiting, and this is going on for minutes. Undav, as I say, one of the players brought into the team today. Very, very tight, just outside the 6-yard box. It's all about Danny Welbeck's flick on the back heel. Tell you what, it's dragging on, Deno, so I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Brentford are coming forward on that far side. I can also tell you that Coventry are leading Birmingham City by 1-0. Coventry are looking for a place in the playoffs in the Championship, and the League Two champions, Leyton Orient, are actually behind. Leyton Orient 0, Stockport County 1, Stockport County 4th. Dave Challoner's side going well. Hull City lead Swansea by 1-0. Let's get news of that goal from Coventry. Chris Coles.
Scored by Josh Eccles, his very first for the club, and what a big goal it could be for Coventry as they look to maintain their playoff credentials. Made by Victor Gyökeres, slaloming run, squared to Eccles, bottom left-hand corner. Terrific start for Coventry. They lead Birmingham 1-0.
Brentford 0-0 here with Nottingham Forest. Vital game down at the bottom of the table for a Nottingham Forest side who are just outside the relegation zone, over on that right-hand side. And now it's going to be Jensen who floats it over. There are two waiting in the penalty area. Pinnock with a downward header. Mee also gets himself involved in the action. Sharda was there too. It's pulled back. Damsgaard has an effort. That was blocked. Comes out left-hand side of the penalty area. Pinnock has stayed forward. Shepherded out though towards the corner flag. He delivers the cross. Felipe will cut it out. Nottingham Forest will deal with it, or they should. Actually, almost. They concede a corner kick. They haven't conceded. Cleared away by Aurier just in the nick of time, but only as far as Janelt. Out towards Sharda on this left-hand side, level with the penalty area. Back it goes towards Janelt once more, and now with Hickey. As we'll go back to Brighton. Confirmation of that goal. Did it stand, Jonathan?
Yes, finally Brighton could celebrate after a long VAR check. Dennis Undav with the flick. It's Brighton 1, Wolves 0.
No other goals to tell you about elsewhere across the country. Brentford, though, are attacking left-hand side. Hickey makes the run forward, crosses from this left-hand side, and that was dealt with. Johnson's clearance only finds Rico Henry. Both fullbacks have actually stayed out on this left-hand side. That's the left back now to the right back, Hickey. Sharda as well, so they had a number of red and white shirts on this left-hand side for Brentford. Mee passes the ball infield. Pinnock inside the centre circle. Shrewsbury have conceded. So Sheffield Wednesday, third in League One, 4 points behind Ipswich. They really had to win and hope that Ipswich would slip up today at home to Exeter. Ipswich, as far as they were concerned, they just had to match Sheffield Wednesday's result, but Ipswich second, drawing at home at Portman Road, and Sheffield Wednesday are leading at Shrewsbury by a goal to nil. Michael Smith has scored after 8 minutes. News of that goal from Paul Scott.
Shrewsbury 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, as you say. Michael Smith with a lovely goal from the edge of the area, a neat 1-2 with Lee Gregory on the edge of the box. He lashed it home right-footed past Marco Morosi. Shrewsbury 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1.
And there's now been a goal at Portman Road. Flo Pollock.
Ipswich take the lead, and it's that man, Connor Chaplin, edge of the box, smashed it into the bottom corner. Ipswich 1, Exeter 0.
As it stands, Ipswich will be promoted. Plymouth Argyle, however, who were top, they had to win and hope that Sheffield Wednesday failed to win at home park. It's Plymouth against Burton Albion. That remains 0-0. Mark did say that although there's only 2 games at 3 o'clock in the Premier League, but there are a number of issues in the Football League that will right across. But for Nottingham Forest, if they can pick up something here today, that will do their power of good, the world of good, as a shot comes in from Mbumo, and it was saved at the second attempt. It was a little slippery for him. Strange on such a dry day, but eventually Keylor Navas gathered that ball in, Danny.
Yeah, decent handling in the end, because a dipping shot from Mbumo, one of those shots that just kind of bounces before the goalkeeper, and it's very easy to kind of spill them, which he kind of did, Navas, but thankfully kept it close to him. He's able to gather it second attempt, but this is a much better response from Brentford. They've got a foothold in the game now. I'd say Forest probably started the better of the two teams, opening couple of minutes, but been a good spell of pressure from Brentford, controlling possession, just asking 1 or 2 questions now defensively of Forest.
Stockport County have got a second goal at Brisbane Road. Leyton Orient 0, Stockport County 2. Stevenage and Northampton, who are looking for promotion today, are still drawing. Northampton 0-0 at home to Bradford City. Stevenage goalless at home to Grimsby. So as it stands, Stockport moved within 2 points of Stevenage for that final automatic promotion berth in League 2. Rochdale, already relegated, have taken the lead at home to Sutton United. And it's Forest Green 0, Oxford United 1, Gillingham 0, Newport County 1 are 2 other latest scores in League 1 and League 2 respectively. Pinnock downfield, headed away by Worrell. Firm header away by the Forest defender. As that's the only change that they've made today with Nico Williams, who's had a really unfortunate season both on and off the pitch. The Welsh international out with a broken jaw as Damsgaard digs it out. Tony comes onto the ball, out towards Mbumo. Plays it out to Tony right hand side and wins the corner for Brentford. 0-0, Danny.
Yeah, good play from Brentford, just spreading play from left to right. Tony just found himself kind of in a wide position on that occasion. He'll link up play with Mbumo, who plays him back in down the side of the 18-yard box. Good defending from Forest in the end, just to block that intended cross into the box, but corner to have to defend here now.
That goal for Oxford, incidentally, as it stands, would make them safe from any threat of relegation from League One. I tell you what, Jonathan, just tell us who scored and we'll be back with you for the details before the corner.
Sure, 2-0 Brighton, Gross.
Right, OK, more details to come then here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Brighton and Hove Albion are leading Wolves by 2-0. The corner is taken short. It's Jensen who floats it in very, very deep. Damsgaard will run across to this near side the left. Back it goes to Rico Henry. Henry back towards Damsgaard. Damsgaard now with a cross, headed away by Aurier. One back though by Rico Henry. Brentford at the minute are forcing Forest back. Still 0-0 here in West London. As Brentford now midway through their own half, and Mee stays out wide and he plays the ball down that line. And Mbumo now coming forward down towards the byline, wins the corner. We'll go back to Jonathan as promised.
Well, brilliant Brighton are back, I would suggest, because this was a free-flowing counter-attack goal, and it was set up really by Billy Gilmore, only third Premier League start in midfield. He fed the youngster Enciso, who's playing in Mitoma's position today, and then Pascal Gross, on rushing, finished off the move. It was a lovely goal. Brighton 2, Wolves 0.
Thanks, Jonathan. Saturday afternoon, BBC Radio 5 Live, also on the World Service and available on BBC Sounds. And Brentford have got a corner kick, far side the right. Very, very crowded penalty area away towards our left-hand side. It's swung over, comes off the head of Mee, gathered above his head, all in grey, by Keylor Navas, the vastly experienced Costa Rican international. As we'll get an update now from the Rugby League. Dave Woods.
England's women 46, France nil, a hat-trick try for Leah Burke and 2 for the NRL bound Holly May Dodd. England in complete control. They lead France women by 46-0.
If you missed it earlier, Kitty's Light won the Gold Cup at Sandown a week after landing the Scottish Grand National. Kitty's Light returned the 11-4 favourite as Pinnock heads the ball away. Sports Report tonight with Mark Chapman, the full hour before 6:06 at its old familiar time, just after the 6 o'clock news at 6:06. 08085909693. So the results and the reaction, and then a lot of sport to digest with Mark from 5 till 6 as Charlton lead Port Vale by a 1-0 at the Valley in League One. Felipe, the bearded defender with his ponytail, Steve Cooper being serenaded by the Nottingham Forest travelling support, a number of them wearing the away shirts that they're sporting here today, that smattering of yellow amidst the red and white on that far side. Great noise always at the City Ground of the Nottingham Forest support, and they haven't had much to cheer about on their travels, it's got to be said. They do have the worst away record in the top flight. But if they could just get something from this game today, it would give them something to cling to.
Certainly would. Southampton after this at home, get a result here, possibly 3 points against them, and that might just be enough to keep them in the Premier League. But I think Steve Cooper will be happy. 15 minutes gone, hasn't been too many shots on goal, hasn't been too much for Keylor Navas to do, only the one save that I can remember, so decent enough start from Forest.
Long looping throw. Worrell actually heads it away rather than flicking it on. Was there a foul there? No, says the referee, Peter Banks. It looked like there'd been a foul from Mbumo, but notice as well that Renan Loddy has stayed down, so there's going to be a stoppage in play. Now there's been a goal at the Stadium of Light. John Bennett.
Yes, the 44,000 Sunderland fans are silent. Sunderland 0, Watford 1. Christian Cabaselli with an excellent header from a corner. The playoff hopes for Sunderland take a blow. Sunderland 0, Watford 1.
I knew as soon as we went there with a sellout crowd on Wearside, had it gone in Sunderland, the noise would have been obviously a lot louder. Reading and Wigan, vital game down at the bottom. Aaron Paul.
Reading 0, Wigan 0, really tense start here. Reading holding the majority of the possession at the moment. Tom McIntyre's had the first major effort on goal. He's curled an effort into the arms of Jamie Jones. Don't forget, Ian, draw not good enough here for Wigan. 0-0 at the moment.
Yeah, bottom of the table. Blackpool, of course, relegated last night after that loss to Millwall. That actually takes them, has taken them above Sunderland. So Sunderland find themselves 3 points now outside of the playoff positions, and the goal difference, there's not much between Millwall and Sunderland, so they need to really have to come from behind against Chris Wilder's side, who lead there at the Stadium of Light. There's been another goal at Ipswich, straight to Portman Road. Flo Pollock.
Ipswich have a second, they've got the party started already. Massimo Luongo with this one, great tight interchange of passing into the box, swept it into the back of the net. Ipswich 2, Exeter 0.
And it doesn't matter as far as Ipswich are concerned that Sheffield Wednesday are still winning away at Shrewsbury, because that scoreline for Ipswich Town will take them promotion back to the Championship. 2-0 they lead at Portman Road. 0-0 here between Brentford and Nottingham Forest. Crystal Palace beat West Ham United 4-3 earlier in that London derby at Selhurst Park, as Brentford go back to Pinnock now with Hickey on that far side, the Scottish international on the right for Brentford. Patient play from the home team at the moment.
It's been a good spell from Brentford, good response. As I said, I thought Forest started the game first 3 or 4 minutes, the better side, the sharper side. Brentford have had a good spell off the back of that without creating too much, and it just feels like the last minute or two now has gone into a little bit of a lull. There's been a high intensity start from both teams, ball changing hands, kind of a few challenges in that midfield area. Both teams looking up for it this afternoon.
That's Danny Gabidon, the former Welsh international, who's with us here at in the sunshine watching this game. Let's get an update on the F1. Jack Nicholls.
It was the sprint race today and Sergio Perez won it. Charles Leclerc started at the front, but the Red Bull driver got ahead of him. Leclerc still finished second, Verstappen third, but a little bit angry with George Russell after some contact on the opening lap. But Perez wins, Leclerc starts the Grand Prix tomorrow on pole.
Bolton in the playoffs in League One are leading at home to Fleetwood by a goal to nil. Bolton 1, Fleetwood 0. Another stoppage in play. There's a Brentford player down. It's Rico Henry. Had a super season at left back, hasn't he?
Been superb. A little bit unlucky with injury, isn't he? I think he was out for a long time with injury, Rico Henry, but the way he's kind of come back and just someone who gets better and better every season. You know, you're wondering how he's going to perform coming into the Premier League, and he's really has taken to it like a duck to water.
Yeah, you're right. It was a 14-month spell with a bad knee injury that kept Rico Henry out, but he's come back. He's adapted well since signed a new deal till 2026 here at Brentford. Gillingham have equalised at home to Newport in League Two. Let's go back to the Amex. Jonathan Overend.
Excellent start from Brighton, leading Wolves 2-0. Could be more as well. Fine chance for Danny Welbeck a moment ago as Jose Sarr failed to clear properly. Star man for Brighton so far is playing off the left, and it's young Julio Enciso. What a talent he is. Brighton 2, Wolves 0.
Excellent recruitment from Brighton and Hove Albion, as a throw for Brentford was taken too quick on the right hand side, so it'll have to they'll go again with Hickey midway through the Nottingham Forest half. Been playing for 20 minutes here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Henry on the stretch, heads it back towards Mee. Ben Mee, his 250th Premier League appearance this afternoon. His first was for Burnley in August 2014 against Chelsea. Henry's forward, drills it in low from the left-hand side, and back there just was Danilo to clear the ball behind.
Yeah, it was just that end product from Rico Henry. Good build-up play, good link-up play on this left-hand side between him and Sharda. He gets the ball played in behind, makes that run in behind, and he just can't pick anybody out, looking to drill the ball across the 6-yard box. And I think that's an area he can improve a little bit. If he can add a few more assists to his game for the amount he gets forward, Rico Henry's got that fantastic pace to kind of get in behind. Then I think he is a player that can be knocking on the door of the England squad. I think defensively very good, but he just add a little bit more to the attacking side of his game.
Now the referee Peter Banks says I think it was Sharda who was bundled to the floor in a very congested penalty area in the shadows of that stand away towards our left-hand side. Players gathered closely just outside the 6-yard box. A lot of jostling for position. Corner kick to Brentford near side the left. It remains 0-0 here on 5 Live. Jensen waits with his hands on hips, wipes the sweat from his forehead with the bottom of his red and white striped shirt, takes 3 or 4 paces back, right arm aloft in towards the near post, cleared away by Brennan Johnson. Now the situation at the bottom of League Two is quite simple. Hartlepool had to win and hope that Crawley were to lose, otherwise they'd be relegated. And there's been a goal at Victoria Park. Alistair Yeomans.
It's gone to Barrow. Jed Garner, a side foot from the centre of the penalty area after a bright start from Hartlepool. It's looking absolutely damaging for Hartlepool. They're going down unless they can turn this round. It's Hartlepool 0, Barrow 1.
Thanks, Alistair. Doesn't matter what Crawley do now at home to Walsall with that. Unless Hartlepool can come from behind against Barrow, they will be getting relegated. With, of course, Rochdale, who are already down, consigned to life in the National League. Jensen on the volley, lifts the ball into the penalty area. Worrell watches it, heads it out of play, and then it's Damsgaard towards Mbumo on that far side. Forrest trying to get as many yellow shirts back behind the ball. Gibbs White leaving a little bit of a late one on Mbumo. That'll be a free kick. Again, there's going to be no action taken by referee Peter Banks, and there's been another goal at Portman Road. Flo Pollock.
Ipswich 3, Exeter 0. Broadhead picked the ball up down the left-hand side, put it into the box, and George Hurst bundled it over the line. Ipswich Town's march to the Championship looks unstoppable now. Ipswich 3, Exeter 0.
Yeah, Ipswich will be promoted. Sheffield Wednesday still leading by a goal. They're still leading 1-0 at Shrewsbury. Plymouth 0, Burton 0 is a latest score at Home Park. As Mbumo is okay to continue. Been a number of stoppages in the game, hasn't there?
Yeah, there has been quite combative, quite intense in that midfield area. Nottingham Forest more so, I would say, than Brentford. Gibbs White there just leaving one on Burma. It was more the way he kind of fell after the challenge rather than the challenge itself, but he's up and ready to go again.
Ipswich at the moment have actually gone to the top of the table, and Plymouth will need something against Burton. Otherwise, it might well go right to the final day of the League One season. As a cute ball played in by Jensen was just cut out by Forest, and now Owoni tried to release the pace of Johnson. Good block though by Ben Mee. Brentford with Janel holds off the challenge of Mangala. The referees let the game flow. Good advantage from Peter Banks there for Brentford, who get it out towards the right hand side. It's 5th against 6th at the top of League Two, and there's been a goal at Brunton Park. Ailey Barber.
And it's gone for the visitors. Carlisle 0, Salford City 1, and it is the man on fire, Callum Hendry, with the finish. Luke Bolton running into clear open space, cutting back for Hendry, and first time finish, found the bottom corner, which means Salford City now join Carlisle on 75 points. It is Carlisle 0, Salford City 1.
Straight to Brighton, there's been a goal. Jonathan Overend.
3-0 to Brighton against Wolves, and what a goal this is. Set up by that man in Ciso, who I mentioned a moment ago. He's played a blinder of a first half and finished in playground fashion by Pascal Gross. First touch just teeing it up, second volleying it into the top corner. It doesn't get any better. Brighton 3, Wolves 0.
Thank you, Jonathan. Earlier, Crystal Palace 4, West Ham United 3. Tomorrow there's a whole host of games, and we've got them covered for you through various means, as Hickey tries to release Mbumo. That will go away from him and out for a goal kick. So after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix from 12, it's Fulham Manchester City at 2 with the Murray brothers, John and Glenn. Manchester United Villa is on Sports Extra at 2 o'clock. Bournemouth Leeds is on the BBC website, as is Newcastle Southampton, and then Liverpool Tottenham at 4:30 with Alistair Bruce Ball and Chris Waddle.
We're into your favourite part of the season then, permutation time. I gotta say that I feel for you over the next couple of weeks. I really do. Totally respect your job and what you do, but it gets even harder now at this stage of the season. There's so much going on in the different leagues. I don't know how you do it, mate.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Tomorrow, next weekend will be a lot easier because of the coronation. All of the Football League games are not being played on the Saturday afternoon. Next Saturday should be an absolute breeze. Today's just causing a little bit of a headache, it's got to be said. But we're across things at the moment. Just might require you to talk a little bit longer as in fact, actually, you've actually reminded me, because of the various permutations, if I don't do the fact of the day now, then I never will in the second half. So John Quincy Adams, a former US president, was a former Brentford resident, did you know? And according to Claire on Drive every Friday, 5:20 with Tony, in August 1815 at the Brentford Fair, he claimed he once saw a double-jointed ox that could lie forwards and backwards. That was like me getting into the press box at Goodison Park on Thursday night, as well as a jackal and a baboon. So that was the fact of the day, and hopefully that one's correct as well, unlike a certain other commentator I could mention.
You didn't source it yourself then, no?
Well, I had a headache with that one as well yesterday, trying to get that one right. I think I'm bottom of the table, but frankly, as Barry Davies said, who cares? 0-0. Back to the more serious business. Owoni. Flag has stayed down for the time being. Owoni in the penalty area. Owoni for Forest, pulls it back. Mangala arriving inside the D. Looks for some further support. Now it's a late flag. He did look offside, but you can never be so sure whilst the assistant keeps it down.
Yeah, that was one of them. He just get the flag up straight away. He's that far offside, and you can see it from our viewpoint here. He's just trying to hold his run. Brentford hold a really good line. He shouldn't be offside, really. He should keep himself onside, but he's definitely about 2 yards offside there. No need to allow play to go on there. Just get your flag up lines when I know they're supposed to do that, but when it's that obvious, just halt the play there and get your flag up.
Derby County 0, Portsmouth 1, Rochdale 2, Sutton 0, Rochdale already relegated, but Mansfield, who are looking to try and sneak into the playoffs in League 2, have fallen behind at Field Mill at home to Harrogate. Mansfield 0, Harrogate 1, Charter away for Brighton on the left hand side, and it runs away, and there's a penalty now back at Ipswich. Flo Pollock.
Ipswich are scoring for fun here, Deno. They just got a penalty finished off by Nathan Broadhead. It's Ipswich 4, Exeter 0. Portman Road is bouncing. They're singing "We are going up, we are top of the league." And with Plymouth drawing, they are top of the league. Ipswich 4, Exeter 0.
And talking of the playoffs in League Two, Salford City have just got a second goal at Carlisle United. Carlisle 0, Salford 2. Ailey Barber.
And it is a role reversal from the first goal. This time Callum Hendry was the provider, a deft little touch into the path of Luke Bolton. He drove at the Carlisle defence and his shot took a slight deflection to go past Thomas Holy in the Carlisle goal. It is Carlisle 0, Salford City 2.
Thanks, Ailey. We're approaching the half hour here under the there's just a few clouds are starting to bubble up now. What has been a glorious afternoon in West London. It's going to be a throw to Brentford. They're playing from right to left. Jensen with a long looping throw towards the near post. Owoni's back there to head it away. Aurier helps it further clear. Jensen's ball is sold short. Johnson then tried to nip in and he was fouled by Henry, and the Brentford left back's going to get a yellow card.
Yeah, just panics there. Rico Henry doesn't actually need to make the foul. He's got Jensen kind of tracking back. The touch from Brennan Johnson was heavy. I don't think he would have got onto it. Jensen with a sloppy pass, and then Rico Henry just feels the need then to bring Brennan Johnson down.
And Johnson has stayed down. Gives us an opportunity to go to Sixfields. Chris Temple in League Two.
Northampton 0, Bradford 0. It's been a rumbustious affair, Deno, given the stakes for both teams, but light on chances. The division's top scorer Andy Cook shot wide early on from 8 yards. Northampton's best chance for Louis Apere a moment ago, but with Stockport leading at Orient, Northampton would need to win if they're to go up today. 0-0 with Bradford.
Yeah, a draw not good enough as it stands, and equally a draw not good enough as well, because the same permutation applies for Stevenage, who are third, 0-0 at home to Grimsby Town. That's at the top of League Two. Terrific downward header, met with real vigour by Ben Mee as Worrell in the Forest defence across that back line to Felipe. The back three, I think, gives them a little bit more solidity, doesn't it, for Forest, and the wing backs the opportunity to try and get forward for the pace and the width as an attacking team.
Yeah, certainly does. He's tinkered with different systems all season long, hasn't he? Steve Cooper have conceded a fair amount of goals as well this season, so I think the back three does suit them, as you say, does give them a bit more defensive solidity.
And the referee with another stoppage. Owoni is down. Morecambe 0, Lincoln City 1. And that could be bad news for Morecambe, who really did need to win that game. Accrington likewise at home to Cambridge United themselves, who are in bother down at the bottom of League One, but Morecambe are behind. Morecambe 0, Lincoln City 1. There's a stoppage in play. A lot of the players taking on liquid refreshment, so we will take advantage of this, and we will go to Plymouth and John Akers.
31 minutes gone. Plymouth 0, Burton 0 as Argyle come forward again. Argyle win and they are promoted to the Championship. They've had the best chances. Danny Mayer's gone the closest. A deflected effort cleared off the line by Moon. Plymouth 0, Burton 0.
So basically Morecambe are hanging on with that goal that they've conceded at home. It's a certainty that they will go down, you would have thought, because of the inferior goal difference that they have against MK Dons, who currently lie in 20th place. BBC Radio 5 Live. MK Dons, however, have just conceded a goal at home to Barnsley. MK Dons 0, Barnsley 1, Doncaster 1, Colchester 0. And there's now been a goal at Northampton. Chris Temple.
And the promotion party might be being spoilt. Bradford have taken the lead through Andy Cook, the division's top scorer, a header from a corner, which takes him to 30 for the season. It strengthens their playoff place. Northampton 0, Bradford 1.
Mark Hughes' side, with Mansfield, of course, trying to nab that last remaining berth. They're losing at home to Harrogate, and Bradford spoiling the party at Sixfields. Northampton 0, Bradford 1. 0-0 it remains here. Keylor Navas, all in grey, takes it away downfield. Doncaster lead Colchester by a goal to 0 in League Two. Nottingham Forest with Gibbs White coming forward now over on that far side, the left, and he hits a diagonal ball that will go away from Aurier, and Henry will marshal it safely behind and out for a goal kick. Haven't really seen a great deal of Forest as an attacking set.
They've had 3 or 4 moments kind of on the counter-attack where they've got into good positions in and around Brentford's 18-yard box, but it's just been that end product. Gibbs White there just forcing the crossfield pass. It was never really on to Aurier, just overhitting it.
Sutton are down to 10 men as they trail 2-0 at relegated Rochdale. Brad House has been sent off, and it's raining goals at Portman Road. Flo.
Yeah, it's me again. We've not even played 30 minutes, and it's Ipswich Town 5, Exeter 0. Connor Chaplin again, a volley in the box when Exeter couldn't clear it. Ipswich are playing such scintillating football, honestly. Ipswich 5, Exeter 0.
Well, I'll be very disappointed if some Ipswich fans don't call into 606 and have a bit of a pop at Chris Sutton on 08085 909 693 and really tease him, because you're going up in style, and you can look forward to an East Anglian derby next season. As Sharda running forward on this near side, the left. He seemed to run into Felipe. Felipe's going to get the yellow card. He won that one, Sharda.
Well, Felipe just gets dragged out almost into a full-back area, not really where you want to be as a centre-back. 1v1, Sharda does well initially, just holding off the initial challenge, and then he's confronted by Felipe and just sells himself, really, knocks it round him, and then he just doesn't want the ball and a man to go past him, just sticks out that right leg, brings him down.
Yeah, looking at it again, he did stick out a leg, didn't he? Felipe. He's a wily old defender, the former Atletico Madrid, vastly experienced, and he's given away a free kick. But of course now it means that he's on a yellow card. Henry earlier was booked for Brentford. So this free kick for Brentford is about 10 yards in from the left touchline, not that far away from the left corner of the penalty area. Mbumo and Jensen are the players who are going to take it. It is going to be Mbumo. It's left-footed, the run towards the near post. And it was Henry who threw himself at it, and his header has gone off in a diagonal trajectory and out for a goal kick. Straight to Ashton Gate, goal in the Championship, Laura Kenyon.
It's Bristol City 0, Burnley 1. The newly crowned champions get the breakthrough. Manuel Benson with a beauty, curled it outside the box, left foot, top corner, 13th of the season for him. The packed out away end in raptures. It's Bristol City 0, Burnley 1.
They're looking to join the 100 club. So victory today would certainly do that. It'll take them to 98 points, wouldn't it, with 2 games left? So they've got an opportunity to join the 100 points club in the Championship. Teams such as Reading, Sunderland, Newcastle and Leicester and Fulham who've done it previously. 98 points for Burnley as they lead at Bristol City, who've been unbeaten in their last 9 games at Ashton Gate. Bramall Lane, Maz Faruqi.
A goal for Sheffield United. It's been muted, but they have the goal to celebrate. Amma Hodzic header bouncing in off the left-hand post from a corner. Sheffield United 1, Preston 0.
No other goals to tell you about. 9 minutes to go to half-time. BBC Radio 5 Live. It remains 0-0 here. Brighton and Hove Albion lead Wolves by 3 goals to 0. But it's Brentford who are once again building from the back. Seen a lot of possession, but haven't really created what you would class as a really good opportunity so far.
Both teams have been poor in the final third, have lacked end product. It really has been defences on top up until this point. I think Brentford look the more likely with kind of the long throws and the set pieces, but clear-cut chances from either team.
Loddy forward on that far side, the left, for the men in yellow and their blue shorts. And now it's with Danilo. Worrell steps into Brentford territory, just outside the centre circle, finds Mangala. Felipe, his forward ball though is going to be marshalled out by Hickey. It lacked the direction for Loddy in that left wing back role, and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, just trying to play that ball in behind Hickey, but he's seen his intentions. He's just dropped a little bit deeper than the rest of the back four, and he's just tracked that run and seen that out. It was good defending.
There's been another goal at Brighton. Jonathan.
4-0, and it's just beautiful to watch again. The flow of this Brighton team when they're on song is just so delightful to watch. This time it's Gilmore out to the left and then Enciso back to Estepinian. His cross, far post, Welbeck header. Danny Welbeck with the goal. Brighton 4, Wolves 0.
Brighton, that would take them 2 points off Aston Villa. They've got games in hand as well as they look for a place in Europe for next season. Wickham 0, Cheltenham 1 is the latest score in League One. Still 0-0 here between Brentford and Nottingham Forest, but Brentford now with Janelt out to Damsgaard, low cross from the right, cleared by Niakate on the edge of the area, out of play, it goes for a throw. An eager ball boy just tosses the ball to Damsgaard. They want to try and take it quickly, but he'll wait for Jensen, who runs across towards that far side to take it, and it gives Forest an opportunity to get everybody back in and around their penalty area. Goes back to Janelt. Janelt, left-footed, deep towards the far post. Sharda with a header. Comfortable save, head height by Keylor Navas.
Yeah, should have done better, Sharda. Excellent delivery from that far right-hand side, and I think it's Joe Worrell on the far post. He's just got to try and pick up two men. He's got Ethan Pinnock, big centre back, and he's also got Sharda to contend with. Free header for Sharda, and he's in that kind of position where maybe he couldn't decide what to do. He goes for goal, but he could have nodded it back across goal as well. It's a tame header in the end. Danilo
exchanges passes with Gibbs White. They advance about 10 yards downfield. Gibbs White passes the ball back. Niakate leaves it now to Mangala. Gibbs White comes under pressure from Damsgaard. They go back to Worrell. Felipe just bobbles a little bit for him off his left foot, and then he turns, and from being outside the centre circle of his own half goes all the way back to Keylor Navas. We've got just over 5 minutes to go to half time. 5 live in the World Service, also on BBC Sounds. 0-0. Bouncing ball dealt with by Pinnock. Onto his toes he goes, heads it into the path of me. Janelt now picks it up and chips the ball across towards Hickey, just shy of the halfway line. Over that halfway line now the Scottish international comes for Brentford. Starts to drift in field and then stands on the ball and passes it forward. And Mbumo came short to collect it. No foul in that challenge with Niakate. Picked up now by Gibbs White. Owoni's stayed out wide on that far side, the left for Nottingham Forest, and then they pass the ball back to Lodi. Mangala in a bit of space inside the centre circle. Aurier gets forward, cut out though by Henry. But Aurier does well to win it back for Forest. Johnson chips the ball in towards Owoni. Owoni with a header, couldn't get over it. Couldn't keep it down as a result. 10 yards out, over the top it goes. Goal kick, 0-0.
Oh, that's a big chance. He should do better. Owoni, he's actually down. A collision between him and Hickey, but excellent ball by Brennan Johnson into the box. He's only got one man to hit, Owoni. And he should score. I think he should score there, Deno. And I'll tell you why, because the keeper's actually come out there. He's trying to come and collect it, but he gets nowhere near it. If he gets the right contact, then he just loops that header over the goalkeeper. Maybe just a little bit scared of maybe the keeper colliding into him there, Owoni, and just gets the header all wrong, gets too much purchase on it. That's a big, big chance.
Yeah, he always seemed to be underneath it, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't quite get his body right, did he? But I think Hickey's there as well, and the keeper's rushing out. He just needs to concentrate on making the right contact on the header, and he can just loop that over the goalkeeper, because Reyes never get in there.
The last we heard, Hartlepool were behind and were going down. There's been another goal at Victoria Park. Alistair Yeomans.
They've got some hope. Jack Hamilton, on loan from Livingston, has forced the ball home from close range, coming up to half-time. Hartlepool 1, Barrow 1.
Crawley are still drawing at home to Walsall. Hartlepool would be relegated unless they win and Crawley lose. And Mansfield have conceded a second goal at home to Harrogate Town, which is a further setback for Nigel Clough and his side to try and get back into the playoffs in League Two for a second successive season. You might recall they lost in the final to Port Vale last year. Throw for Brentford, and it goes on that far side. Hasn't been dealt with by Forest just as yet. Bit of a scramble. Good save by Keylor Navas. And then it came to Damsgaard inside the 6-yard box, and he's put a trailing right leg behind himself to try and flick it around knee height. And Navas made the save. It was a real scramble.
Yeah, good improvisation actually on the finish, and Forest just about get away with this. And this is the first real time they've not defended their 18-yard box well. The long throw comes in. Nobody really deals with the first contact from a Forest point of view. It's able to land at the feet of a Brentford player, and then it's panic stations.
Brentford are forward, and Gibbs White back towards Felipe, who somehow let it go past him before a last-ditched attempt cleared the ball away. Penalty at Coventry, Chris Coles.
Penalty to Coventry and a chance to double their advantage against Birmingham City. The ever-reliable Victor Gyökeres steps up and scores, places it into the bottom left-hand corner. Coventry tighten their grip on a playoff place. They lead Birmingham 2-0.
They do indeed, and Cambridge United are leading at Accrington. Betty Glover with the goal.
Huge goal here at the bottom of League One. Cambridge have taken the lead, swung in from a corner. Harrison Dunk got his foot to it, bit of an overhead kick and smashed it into the back of the net. As it stands, this would lift Cambridge out of the drop zone. It's Accrington Stanley 0, Cambridge 1.
Not just yet, it wouldn't, because MK Dons, they'll be level with MK Dons. It would be goal difference that would keep Cambridge inside that bottom four. But it does, of course, mean that Cambridge have got an opportunity to scramble out. MK Dons currently trailing at home to Barnsley by 1-0, and the 10 men of Sutton United have got a goal back. So it's Rochdale 2, Sutton United 1 as a latest score in League 2. 0-0 here. We've got just over 60 seconds remaining of normal time of this first half, and it's going to be a free kick that Jensen will leave, and Bumo to take it, left-footed, drops towards me with a header, and it got plenty of flight on it, but it allowed Navas to make again another comfortable save.
Yeah, difficult header for Ben Mee. Is that far? Good delivery from Mbumo into a really good area. Ben Mee, free header, but he's really got to kind of generate the power on that cross into the box from where he is, just inside the 18-yard box, not able to find that far corner, but so dangerous Brentford from set pieces, but for the most part they've defended those really well, Forest. Johnson
falls to the floor but still manages to get it to Aurier. Gibbs White makes the run ahead of him. 30 seconds remain of this first half. It's still 0-0 on 5 Live. Mangala now midway through the Brentford half. Felipe near Karte. Loddy provides the width on that far side, the left. Plymouth are leading at home to Burton Albion. John Akers.
Argyle 1, Burton 0. It's Niall Ennis running through on goal, cut onto his left foot, a deflection and in. The celebrations were wild. If it stays like this, Plymouth back in the Championship for the first time in 13 years. Argyle 1, Burton 0.
And whoever wins the title will go to the final day, but Plymouth and Ipswich Town are both getting promoted despite Sheffield Wednesday winning away at Shrewsbury by 1-0. We're into a minute of added on time here at Brentford. Forest forward. Loddy, first cross was blocked, comes back towards him. Out of goes then for a Forest throw, right in front of that travelling support. They haven't really had too many scares, have they, from a defensive point of view, but equally that Owoni opportunity was the best that probably their only effort that they've created so far.
Yeah, they've looked the most like the score when they've been able to get the ball into his feet and he's been able to kind of link play and get the wide players into the game. He actually had a really good chance with a header, should have done better.
Long looping throw, comes out towards Gibbs White. Gibbs White with a shot, blocked, it falls to Danilo, and Nottingham Forest take the lead in stoppage time in the first half. What a goal for Forest that could be. Danilo's at it again. He scored his first goal against Brighton in midweek, and he runs over to the joyous scenes in that far corner. They've had to soak up a lot of pressure, but he pounced inside the 6-yard area. What a boost that could be for Forest. They lead by 1-0. Simply a massive goal.
It certainly is, Deno. Danilo was excellent in midweek against Brighton, and this is a really composed finish. Gets a little bit of luck, so don't quite deal initially with a long throw, Brentford. They're able to pick up the second ball. Morgan's Gibbs White on the edge of the 18-yard box. He lets fly with a shot. It kind of ricochets off a Brentford player. I think it's Ben Mee, and he just falls to Danilo, who's in the right place at the right time. Edge of the 6-yard box. And it's a really composed finish. Just side foots it into the corner. Absolutely no chance of David Raya. How big could that goal be for Nottingham Forest right before half-time? Big moment.
What a moment for Nottingham Forest and their supporters, bearing in mind that they've travelled the length and breadth of this country and they've seen their side just pick up 6 points out of a possible 48. They've only seen them score, well, that's their 8th goal now. just the one win. They've had the most defeats with 12. However, those players go in after the half-time whistle sounds, leading by a goal to nil. Danilo with the all-important goal. Half-time here. It's Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1.
Danny, not only is it a great finish, but if you actually watch on the replay, the way he moves to get himself back on side is also really clever, because there are a lot of players in that situation who would have just stood still.
Yeah, almost like a centre forward, wasn't he? We saw only a few times in the first half who's a centre forward, and he wasn't able to kind of keep himself on side, but he gets himself back. He's anticipating, he's ready. They get that little bit of luck. Forest, one gives White just with a pot shot, really, edge of the 18-yard box. A little bit of luck, deflection, falls straight to him, and the movement was that of a striker, and the finisher was that of a striker as well, because it's easy for you to kind of panic in those positions. I think with the pressure that's kind of on this game, would have been very easy for him to miss that chance as well, but showed great confidence. Maybe that came from the goal in his performance in midweek against Brighton, and he just sidefoots it high into that far corner. No opportunity for Raya on that occasion, so that is a big goal for Nottingham Forest, because they hadn't really offered too much, Chappers, in the first half. Going forward defensively, pretty solid. Have limited Brentford to minimal chances, but didn't really look like doing anything the other end themselves. So to grab a goal just before half-time is a massive moment for them.
As things stand, that phrase at this time of year, Nottingham Forest would have 33 points from 34 games. They would be 4 points clear of Leicester, who have that game in hand when they face Everton on Monday evening. Back for the second half with Ian and Danny. Only one other 3 o'clock Premier League game this afternoon. In fact, only 3 Premier League games all day. But what a first 45 minutes from Brighton. Jonathan Overend.
Tell you what, Mark, the sound inside sporting arenas interests me, because, often you've got a mixture, haven't you, of fans sort of chanting, cheering, applauding, whatever. When the final whistle went here, for about 2 minutes, everyone's just been on their feet applauding. It's been like theatrical applause that we've just witnessed here. That was because Brighton were back to their devastating best in this first half. 4-0 they lead against Wolves. 2 from Gross, including a 20-yard volley. 1 from Undav, 1 from Welbeck. Billy Gilmore's interesting. He's having fun in midfield, somehow covering for both Caicedo and McAllister. And in the absence of Mitoma, what a half on the left from Julio Enciso. The 19-year-old Paraguayan, he's had an impact in 3 of the 4 goals and has frightened the life out of a below-par Wolves. Brighton 4, Wolves 0.
A remarkable first half from Brighton. See it all. Match of the day tonight, 10:20 on BBC One. Dan Evans is out of the Madrid Open. Russell Fuller.
Yes, beaten by Bernabé Zapata, the world number 42, but a clay court natural. Too good for Evans, the Spaniard winning 6-3, 6-2. Cameron Norrie plays his second round match in a couple of hours' time, but Chappers, I'm now very much looking forward to calling home to gloat at my son, who's been ridiculing me for weeks for having Pascal Gross in my fantasy football team.
Bumper points for you this afternoon. Let's go to the Rugby League. Doubleheader this afternoon. England's men and women both playing France. The women are done and dusted, I think. Dave Woods.
Yes, they are. 64 points to nil. England's women have beaten France. 12 tries they've scored as well. They look superb. Stuart Barrow, the new coach, first game in charge. This was very impressive. 4 tries for Leah Burke in the end, the winger. And on her way to the NRL, Ollie May Daughters scored 2 tries as well. But England looking good from 1 to 17 here today. They've beaten France by 64 points to nil. It's over to the men now.
Earlier in the Rugby Union, England's women beat France as well, 38-33, and that means another Grand Slam for England in Simon Middleton's last match in charge. Right, let's go back to the football. Start with this big game at the bottom in the Championship. Reading against Wigan, goalless at the break. Aaron Paul.
Yeah, Reading 0, Wigan 0. The home side have been dominant here, but the deadlock remains intact. Tom McIntyre and Jeff Hendrick have both fired over. Lucas Jarre, meanwhile, has forced a stunning save out of Jamie Jones in the Wigan goal. Wigan, they haven't laid a glove on Reading. As it stands, they'll be dropping out the Championship with a whimper. A draw not good enough for them at the break. It is Reading 0, Wigan 0.
Let's go to Bramall Lane next. Preston's playoff hopes taking a hit here. Maz Faruqi.
Yeah, Sheffield United 1, Preston 0. This really had the feel of a game of Sunday League football the morning after the night before. Clearly some sore heads for Sheffield United, and they needed a bit of luck with the goal. Ahmed Hodicic's header bouncing in after it hit the left-hand post from a corner from the right. Preston, as you say, have to win to have any chance of staying in the playoffs mix. Have offered very little, so the party continues here at Bramall Lane despite the rain. Sheffield United 1, Preston 0.
Coventry will be very happy with their first 45 minutes. Chris Coles.
They certainly will be. Ideal half for them, given some of the favours they're also getting elsewhere. Nothing can be confirmed today, but they're doing their bit, leading Birmingham 2-0. A first goal for Coventry-born Josh Eccles and a Victor Gyökeres penalty. Coventry in control of this one and in control of a playoff spot for now. They lead Birmingham 2-0.
Yeah, one of those favours Chris talking about comes courtesy of Watford at Sunderland. John Bennett.
Yes, Sunderland 0, Watford 1. The playoff chasers being frustrated in front of a sellout crowd. They look decent, Sunderland, between both boxes, but mistakes in both penalty areas have cost them. Poor defending to allow Christian Kabasele to score a header from a corner, and that final touch letting them down at the other end. Sunderland 0, Watford 1.
Bristol City 0, Burnley 1 and Hull 1, Swansea 1 elsewhere in the Championship. And a point for QPR at Stoke will be very welcome indeed. Pat Murphy.
A goal would be very welcome, and some decent football also. It's a grade A stinker. It's a Gorgonzola. I've made 2 notes in the first half. Not going to bother you with them. Stoke 0, QPR 0.
Oh, if only Pat was at Ipswich. Flo Pollock.
Half-time, Ipswich 5, Exeter 0. Ipswich sealing their return to the Championship in some style. 2 goals for Connor Chaplin, taking his total to 25 goals in the league. His first got things started, an arrowed effort from the edge of the box. Ipswich Town are toying with Exeter, and bar something extraordinary, Ipswich will be promoted today. At the break, Ipswich lead Exeter by 5 goals to 0.
Yeah, all they've got to do is win Ipswich and they will be up elsewhere, and there are some very significant scores here. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday are winning at Shrewsbury, but that doesn't matter for Ipswich. As long as Ipswich win, they are up, and as long as Plymouth win, they are up, and Plymouth lead by a goal to 0. John Akers.
Oh, the Green Army are in full voice here. The roof almost came off this place when Niall Ennis made it 1-0 right on the stroke of half-time. One-on-one with the goalkeeper, took a deflection and in, and it was really nervy in here up to then, so you can see why the Argyle fans celebrated so wildly. If it stays like this, then Argyle are promoted. They're halfway there. Plymouth 1, Burton 0.
Yeah, so as things stand, with the top 3 all winning, Plymouth would have 98, Ipswich would have 97, Sheffield Wednesday 93 with 1 game to play. So Plymouth and Ipswich are going up this afternoon. Elsewhere, Accrington 0, Cambridge 1, Bolton 1, Fleetwood 0, Charlton 1, Port Vale 0, Derby 0, Portsmouth 1. Colby Bishop got that goal for Portsmouth, 24 for the season for him. Forest Green Rovers are losing at home to Oxford by a goal to 0. Kyle Joseph got that, 10 for the season for him. MK Dons 0, Barnsley 1. That will have significance for MK Dons at the bottom of the table. I'll give you the bottom as it stands very shortly. Morecambe 0, Lincoln 1. That would relegate Morecambe virtually. Actually, because of MK Dons, Morecambe would not be down. Oh my word. Ian did say these permutations are difficult. I'll give you the bottom of the table shortly, but Morecambe 0, Lincoln 1, and they are not down at the moment. Peterborough 0, Bristol Rovers 0, and Wickham 0, Cheltenham 1. So in the battle to stay in League One, as things stand, Oxford 47 from 45, MK Dons 43 from 45, Cambridge 43 from 44, and Morecambe and Accrington 41 from 45. Forest Green Rovers, of course, relegated some time ago. Let's go into League Two, and we'll go to Northampton Bradford. Chris Temple.
Northampton 0, Bradford 1. The promotion party on hold for Northampton. Bradford's Andy Cook with a header from a corner, his 30th goal in all competitions, and with Stockport winning elsewhere, Northampton currently going nowhere today. Their cushion in the automatic races being trimmed to just 2 points. Bradford, meanwhile, strengthening their grip on a playoff spot and keeping alive their slim automatic hopes. Northampton 0, Bradford 1.
Absolutely. So Northampton not going up this afternoon as things stand, and neither is Stevenage. Henry Moran.
Stevenage 0, Grimsby 0. Stevenage needing that win to secure promotion today. They're being held by a resolute Grimsby. The closest we've come to a goal in the first minute. Jamie Reed's header finding the back of the net, but a raised flag halting the wild celebrations. A draw or even a defeat could have been enough if results in other games were going Stevenage's way. They're not. The home side need a goal and the fans know it.
Elsewhere, AFC Wimbledon 0, Tranmere 0, Carlisle 0, Salford 2, and details of that one from Ailey Barber.
Well, Salford City called this a must-win, and they lead at the break with 2 goals in the space of 5 minutes. Luke Bolton found clear space in front of him on the right-hand side. He drove into it, found Callum Hendry in space, who smashed it into the bottom corner for the opener. It was then a role reversal, a beautiful touch from Hendry to lay it into Bolton's path, and he drove straight at the Carlisle backline before firing it past Holy in the Carlisle goal. At the break, it is Carlisle 0, Salford City 2.
Crawley 0, Walsall 0, Crewe 0, Swindon 1, Doncaster 1, Colchester 0, Gillingham 1, Newport 1, and it's also 1-1 at Hartlepool, but they need more, Alistair Yeomans.
Yes, credit to them. They could have crumpled after Jed Garner had scored for Barrow, but they didn't, and Jack Hamilton equalised just before the break. As you say, not enough for now. They need to win, and Crawley are currently drawing. So as it stands, Hartlepool going down.
Yep, Leyton Orient 0, Stockport 2, Leyton Orient the champions. Mansfield 0, Harrogate 2. That will affect Mansfield's playoff places. Rochdale 2, Sutton 1, and Sutton are down to 10 in that game. And as we've heard, Stevenage 0, Grimsby 0. So as far as this race for automatic promotion then, as things stand, Northampton 80 from 45, Stevenage 80 from 45, Stockport 78 from 45, and then in the battle for the playoffs, Carlisle 75 from 45, Salford 75 from 45, Bradford 75 from 44, and Mansfield, because they're losing at home to Harrogate, who they have a dreadful record against, they lost 5 of their last 6 against Harrogate. They drop out of the playoff spots. They would have 72 from 45. And as Alistair said, because of the scores between Hartlepool and Barrow and Crawley and Walsall, Hartlepool are relegated as things stand this afternoon. Now, the National League games don't get underway until 5:30. The National League North and National League South games are underway and were 3 o'clock kickoffs. The one thing that's to be decided in the National League North is the promotion to the National League. It's between AFC Fylde and Kings Lynn. Both those sides leading by a 1-0 at the break, and that means that AFC Fylde would be promoted. Kings Lynn would be in the playoffs. No Scottish Premiership games today. Scottish Cup semi-final weekend. Earlier, Inverness beat Falkirk 3-0. In the Championship, Ayr 0, Wraith 0, Morton 1, Queen's Park 1, Partick 1, Arbroath 0. In League 1, Airdrieonians 0, Queen of the South 2, Dunfermline 1, Clyde 1, Kelty Hearts 0, Peterhead 0, Montrose 0, Alloa 2. As things stand, Peterhead are relegated this afternoon. In League 2, Annan 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, East Fife 1, Albion Rovers 1, Elgin 0, Dumbarton 0, Stirling 1, Forfar 0, and Stranraer 1, Stenhouse Muir 0. In the Champions Cup at half-time, this is the semi-final, Leinster 27, Toulouse 14. In the snooker semi-final between Bressel and C, Bressel's comeback continues. He's now trails by just 1 frame. What a performance this is from the Belgian, Jamie Broughton.
It's absolutely incredible, Mark, taking on the young Chinese star CJ Wee. Don't forget that Bressel won 5 frames in a row last night as he fought back to trail 14-10, and he's won 4 in a row here, so it's 14 frames all. 17 is the target for a place in the final, and if he does it here, it will be the greatest comeback in Crucible history. Nobody's come from 9 frames down before. Can he do it? Can he hold himself together? We're about to find out.
Selby and Allen will resume tonight and probably conclude tomorrow night, with Mark Selby leading Mark Allen by 11 frames to 10. Back to Brentford shortly, 2 minutes past 4. Here's Jill McKenzie.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The deadline's passed for British citizens trying to flee the fighting in Sudan to get to the airfield north of Khartoum. The ceasefire between the army and a paramilitary group hasn't held. The sister of Ruth Perry, the head teacher who killed herself after her school was downgraded, has called on Ofsted inspectors to hand in their badges. Professor Julia Waters has been speaking at a conference of the National Association of Head Teachers this morning. NHS bosses say the bank holiday strike by nurses will cause significant disruption. The Royal College of Nursing says it's agreed contingency plans for staff to return to work in extreme cases. And the Royal Navy will investigate reports that sensitive documents containing details about a nuclear submarine were found in a toilet at a pub in Barrow-in-Furness. It says it takes all security matters extremely seriously.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Earlier, by the way, in the Premier League, it finished Crystal Palace 4, West Ham 3. We'll have reaction to that during Sports Report, hour-long Sports Report tonight. And then it will be Robbie and Chris with 6:06. Can Nottingham Forest take a huge step towards Premier League safety? They lead at the break by a goal to nil. By the way, Oxford have just got a second at Forest Green Rovers. So Forest Green Rovers 0, Oxford 2 in League One. Let's go to Danny and Ian at Brentford.
Thank you, Mark. Brentford are out there at the moment. We're yet to see the emergence of Nottingham Forest, who are leading by a goal to nil. And here's a stat for you, that if you're a Forest fan, it might either offer you hope, or with the law of Sod's law and commentators' law and whatever else, it might leave you screaming at the radio. But here goes anyway, without wanting to tempt fate. But I've got to do my job. Brentford are the only side not to win when conceding first in the Premier League this season. They've drawn 6 and they've lost 7. The last time that they came from behind to win a game was against Everton last May. These next 45 minutes for Nottingham Forest are going to be absolutely huge, Danny Gabardon, bearing in mind that they currently stand 4 points clear of the relegation zone.
Yeah, huge 45 minutes for this Nottingham Forest team. That was a label that they shaked off in midweek, coming from behind, beating Brighton. Be interesting to see how Forest go about this now. They've given themselves something to hang on to. I think it's really important that they continue to play in the same way. Defensively solid, organised, and then looking to hit on a counter-attack. You'd expect Brentford's second half to be better. I don't think Thomas Frank would have been happy with that first half performance, in particular the quality in the final third. Ivan Toney barely touching the ball in that first half, didn't have anything to kind of feed off from wide areas, didn't see the ball really going into his feet much. He'll expect a little bit more, Thomas Frank, I think, from his team second half, so Nottingham Forest need to be ready for that.
You're right, by the way, that Brighton was the first time in 53 Premier League games that Nottingham Forest had come from behind to win a game. The last time was 97. Of course, they have had a 23-year absence from the Premier League, but 52 matches where they'd drawn 12 and lost 40 before they came to win back against Brighton. But this would be only the second time this season that they've had back-to-back wins. It would be huge, especially at this time of the campaign. Now the side has made a change. Forest lead by a goal to nil. They're defending the goal away towards our right-hand side, so they're playing from right to left in their yellow shirts and blue shorts, with Navas in goal, a back three of Felipe, Worrell and Niakate, Aurier and Lodi are the wing-backs. Jensen delivers the cross, headed away by Awoni. Mangala and Danilo, the goal scorer, in the centre of midfield. Johnson and Gibbs-White try and support Awoni. Cross headed away by Felipe inside the penalty area. The Brentford team is Raya in goal, Hickey, me, Pinnock and Henry the back four. Janelt, Jensen, Damsgaard, Sharda, Toney and Mbeumo. Red and white striped shirts, black shorts. Toney with the cross, far side the left. Sharda's in there, headed out. Comes as far as Jensen, who runs it towards Mangala. Now the break is on with Felipe actually stepping out of defence for Nottingham Forest. He's done well, he holds on to the ball and waits for now the supporting run of Mangala up towards the halfway line. Interception and a turnover of play there with Damsgaard. Damsgaard was fouled by Mangala. The referee will give a free kick to Brentford. 2 minutes already into this second half and it's 1-0 to Forest, and MK Dons have just equalised at home to Barnsley, 1-1.
He's done a good job, Mangala, in that midfield area. He gives a foul away there, but he's been it was actually Ori, I think, with the foul. But they have been aggressive in that midfield area, Forest, and quite happy to kind of give away fouls when they need to. Mangala, there was an opportunity for Forest to actually counter-attack. If he gets the pass right, then I think he's releasing Brennan Johnson. He gets intercepted and then he's got to get back in and just gives a silly foul away.
Sharda, low ball in from the left, cleared away by Niakate. Forest had every yellow shirt back there. Sun has returned, bathed the pitch in sunshine once again here in West London. We're live on BBC Radio 5 Live. We're also across the world on the World Service and available on the BBC Sounds app. As Brentford pass the ball out towards Henry. There's been another goal at Brighton. Jonathan Overend.
5-0. Welbeck's second of the day, fourth assist of the day for the wonderful Enciso. Wolves made a triple half-time substitution, but they've now 5-0 down.
Slice clearance by Niakate. Behind it goes for a corner kick to Brentford. Forest are going to come under pressure this second half if you're a Forest fan. could sound like purgatory as your side look to hang on to what is a precious lead. Sheffield Wednesday have got a second goal, but it's irrelevant because Plymouth and Ipswich are getting promoted. 17,080 is the attendance here today. 1,719 from Forest are packed into that little quadrant of this tiny little ground where Brentford will take the corner kick. It's an in-swinger in towards the near post and cleared away by Felipe. There's been another goal at Portman Road. Flo Pollock.
Ipswich 6, Exeter 0. It was a long ball to Wes Burns. He held off his marker, waited for the keeper to come out and then coolly lobbed it over him. Ipswich 6, Exeter 0.
Goal now at Stoke City. Pat Murphy.
Gone to QPR from Adoma. It stemmed from a shot from Dykes, edge of the box. Bonham, the keeper, down to, got a left hand to it but couldn't hold it. Accurately passed through him, in off the post. Crucial goal for QPR. Stoke 0, QPR 1.
News of that goal from Shrewsbury. Paul Scott.
Shrewsbury 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. A blistering start to the second half for the Owls. Michael Smith with his second goal of the afternoon. A cross from the left, headed in from 6 yards into the top corner. Shrewsbury 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2.
Morecambe have conceded another goal. In fact, they just got a goal back. I was going to tell you they were 2-0 down at home to Lincoln City. It's now Morecambe 1, Lincoln City 2, in a game realistically that they had to win to keep their faint hopes alive. Damsgaard lifts the ball high into the area. Sharda's underneath it. Worrell does well to head it away under pressure. Out it goes towards that far side. Little touch off Aurier, but the last touch came off Henry, and Forest will get a throw. But Morecambe won't go down just as yet, because Oxford United elsewhere, well, they're winning 2-0, but Milton Keynes are only drawing at home to Barnsley. So if Milton Keynes, who just equalised, were to get a goal, then Morecambe would be relegated. But going up as it stands, well, we're going to get relegated from the Championship at the moment. Plymouth and Ipswich are going up, promotion from League One, and as it stands, Hartlepool relegated from League Two. We're 6 minutes into the second half on this busy afternoon of football. A full hour of sports report to come with Mark Chapman from 5 before 6:06. 08085909693, and I'm sure we'll try and get Steve Cooper on live if it stays like this. But there's a lot of nails to be bitten between now and then, Danny Gabidon.
It certainly is. Still a lot of work for this Nottingham Forest team to do, giving themselves that platform, as I say, getting that goal just before half time. But Brentford has started this second half the better team, looking to apply pressure. You just feel that back three, back five of Nottingham Forest is really going to earn its wages second half. Up until this point, defended their 18-yard box ever so well. Need to continue to do so.
A corner of the City ground has been transported down the M1 and placed next to the M4 here in West London. 7 minutes into the second half. The incessant vocal support from the Forest supporters. And Mbumo. Back it goes to Pinnett. A little bit awkward for him to control. It runs away off actually his left foot and collected by me. Along the ground to Jensen, far side the left. Jensen now hits a ball that will pick out Mbumo, makes the run in behind Loddy, keeps the ball in play, tries to get the cross, strikes the body of Loddy, and then helped out by Danilo, the goal scorer, who clears it away, but it's going to come straight back at Forest. Damsgaard, Brentford once again knocking on the door. Damsgaard, good defending once more. They really have kept their shape ever so well, Nottingham Forest here today, restricting Brentford to few opportunities. MK Dons now are leading Barnsley by 2-1. So Morecambe, as it stands, will be relegated from League One. This is 5 Live on this Saturday afternoon, and Forest get a throw. Every decision being supported by those 1,700 travelling fans.
Yeah, the end product from Brentford needs to be better. You know, as I mentioned, we haven't really seen too much of Ivan Toney. A lot of Brentford's good work has been down the sides of Nottingham Forest, but when they've got into those areas, the decision making, the quality on the final cross or the pass has been really poor. He's had nothing to feed off Ivan Toney. It's been fairly comfortable for Nottingham Forest there defensively.
And also, in fact, Accrington would get relegated as well with that goal for MK Dons. Accrington, who are currently trailing at home to Cambridge United. who remain in the relegation zone but do have a game in hand on MK Dons and are 3 points behind MK Dons, as Nottingham Forest are going to make a change. And Awoni's coming off. Let's get an update from Reading, where Wigan, of course, need to win. Aaron Paul.
Reading 0, Wigan 0. After not laying a glove on the home side in the first half, Wigan have come out fighting and swinging in the second. There's a good effort from Christ Teehee. He's drilled wide, as has Josh McGuinness, who's headed wide. He's actually gone off due to a head injury. So Wigan now playing with Daniel Sinani up in attack. As things stand, they're still getting relegated. They do need a win today. Nothing else will do. It's currently Reading 0, Wigan 0.
Can you imagine if you had... I mean, how many times have I said as things stand today? But if you had £1 for every time you said it, you could raise an awful lot of money for children in need, couldn't you?
Well, you probably wouldn't be doing this job anymore, Denner, would you? You'd be sat at home, feet up.
Yeah, might do that next year. The change is that Awoni has gone off and Andre Ayew has come on. That's the Forest change, who lead by a goal to 0. So much live football tomorrow on BBC Radio 5 Live. Fulham Manchester City at 2 o'clock. Manchester United Villa's on Sports Extra. Bournemouth Leeds, which is huge, is on the BBC Sport website. Newcastle Southampton is also available online. And then Liverpool Tottenham live on 5 Live at 4:30. Rochdale, already relegated, have got a third at home to the 10 men of Sutton. 3-1. Forest are attacking. Cross from the right hand side. Lottie gets too much underneath it. Then he chases after the ball and gets there ahead of Mbumo. He's done well as Lottie. Delivers the cross, but it's gathered in by Raya at his near post. No other goals elsewhere to tell you about. And then Andre Ayew prevents Raya from taking the early clearance, gets the block in and gets a yellow card.
He's just come onto the pitch, Andre Ayew, and well aware that you're not allowed to do this. David Raya just trying to start a quick counter attack by kicking the ball forward, and he just lifts that right foot and blocks the intended kick. He has to know that he's going to get a yellow card for that. Silly thing to do, but just trying to halt that quick counter attack.
Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1 is not the sort of scoreline to give cheer for either Leeds United, Leicester City or Everton supporters, as Ayew is penalised once again. He's got to be careful here. He's just been booked for a foul on Janelt. The crowd are certainly wanting that Peter Banks to show another one. Got to show a little bit of discipline, not put his side under unnecessary pressure, as there has been a goal at Broadhall Way. Henry Moran.
And it's a goal that could seal promotion for Stevenage. The cross on the right hand side, Jamie Reed's low header, a 14th of the season. It has been nervy, it has been edgy, but the breakthrough has come. Stevenage win this game, they're into League One. Stevenage 1, Grimsby 0.
Ball goes long up towards Tony. Near Carty handled him well. Forest clear the ball away. Stevenage would be going up. Northampton, though, are still trailing at home to Bradford City. As the ball goes long out towards Sharda, Tony gives chase. Hardly mentioned Tony at all, have we, in the commentary?
Yeah, not been able to get him into the game, Brentford. As I said, a lot of their players been in kind of wide areas. They've not really looked. Even those midfield players, kind of Damsgaard, we know can be creative and make things happen. They haven't really looked to kind of get the ball into his feet, and then Tony kind of link play, which we know he's very good at. Everything's kind of been in those wide areas, and so far the quality has been really poor.
Throw from Jensen, far side, climbing high and climbing well. Aurier, and then hooked further clear on the edge of the Forest penalty area by Johnson. Out it goes for a Brentford throw. De Silva and Wissa are going to be coming on. It's going to be a double change made by Thomas Frank. As the ball goes into the penalty area, Mbumo, Tony, me, we're all there, and the referee has blown his whistle. It's going to be a Forest free kick. Steve Cooper has come across Thomas Frank on 8 previous occasions. He's only won 1 of those 8 games. Of course, it was Brentford who beat Swansea when Steve Cooper was in charge in that playoff final. But this would be such a sweet 3 points for Steve Cooper and Nottingham Forest, as De Silva and Wissa wait to come on here for Brentford, who haven't won in their last 3 at home, and in fact the Fulham victory is their only success in their last 5 on home soil. Given the ball away cheaply, Danilo passes it straight back to Janelt. Damsgaard now comes forward for Brentford, who trail by a goal to 0. Jensen over the halfway line, back towards Janelt. Jensen now takes over along the ground. Hickey collects it near side the right, and Bumo's ahead of him. Nottingham Forest game plan working to absolute perfection so far. Jensen. Schade rolls away from Worrell. Schade now delivers the ball into the penalty area. It's turned behind by Loddy. One of the few times they've really got behind Forest.
Yeah, lovely play from Schade. Just a little over, ball's played into him, and Worrell tries to get tight. He thinks he's going to control the ball, and he just lets it go, and he gets in behind, fires the ball across the 6-yard box. His Brentford body's there, but nobody really makes that dart into the 6-yard box. 2 or 3 Brentford players looking for the pullback, and that's where he sticks the ball across the 6-yard box, and there's nobody there. Much better from Brentford, though.
Damsgaard has come off. He's going to be replaced by Josh De Silva. Wisser has actually replaced Rico Henry. So we'll have to see who's going to go in at left back after that double change has been made by Thomas Frank as the home side look for an equaliser. And we are an hour in here under the blue skies in the capital. And Bumo waits to take the corner kick for Brentford. Everybody back for Nottingham Forest. And Bumo, left-footed, headed out, edge of the area, fired back in by De Silva, blocked again by just a body of Forest players in the yellow shirts, and Felipe wins the ball on that far side, and he tries to release Johnson, who was almost away, but De Silva had actually tracked the run and did well. As we get an update from Sixfields, Chris Temple.
Still Northampton 0, Bradford 1 through Andy Cook's header, but Northampton just missed their best chance of the game. Kieran Bowie slipped through the middle, denied by a sprawling save from Bradford keeper Harry Lewis. Promotion hopes for both these will go to the final day if it stays as it is here. Northampton 0, Bradford 1.
It will. In fact, Bradford have got a game in hand. They're away at Crewe on Wednesday night, and that game in hand could in fact still keep alive their faint automatic promotion hopes, as Rochdale have got a 4th goal at home to Sutton. Charlton 2, Port Vale 0. Ball goes up towards Wisser, cleared away by Worrell. Bristol City have equalised at home to Burnley. Bristol City 1, Burnley 1 is the latest score in the Championship, and MK Dons 3, Barnsley 1 is not good news at all as far as Accrington and Morecambe are concerned. As it stands, they'll both be relegated from League One. But it's the Premier League, and we have 19 minutes remaining. As Mee plays the ball short towards Hickey, forward towards Schade, Niakate gets there as well, up towards Gibbs-White, and now with Loddy. Another goal at Sheffield United, Mas Faruqi.
It's all back on for Preston equaliser, Liam Delap tapping into the back of the net. They need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Sheffield United 1, Preston 1.
Thank you, Maz. Andre Ayew was coming forward there for Forest. Let's get news of that goal from Ashton Gate with Laura Kenyon.
Bristol City 1, Burnley 1, as Burnley, they make it 2-1 as you come to me. What a goal from the far side. It's Jay Rodriguez who scores it, hits the back of the net, and it's Bristol City 1, Burnley 2, despite that equaliser from Tommy Conway.
So the goals as they go in on BBC Radio 5 Live. Mangala midway through his own half, up towards Andre Ayew. He's taken it very high on the chest, but he's done well to bring it under control. And now Andre Ayew comes forward, the Ghanaian, and he's got Gibbs-White ahead of him. Gibbs-White carries the ball to the edge of the area, comes inside, shoots low, and it was straight at Raya as Forest still lead by a goal to 0.
And I think that's why Andre Ayew's come onto the pitch in place of Aroyi. He's just a little bit more secure in possession. He has that physical strength as well, but what you don't want is when you're winning the ball back and it's going into your centre forward, you don't want it bouncing off him and then the opposition are back on the counter-attack. I think he just provides a little bit more security, Ayew, in possession.
De Silva driving forward, sliding in was Gibbs-White. Janelt for Brentford. Jensen touches the ball to Tony, stays out wide right, cuts the ball back. De Silva with his back to goal, right corner of the penalty area. Forest working hard, Jensen can't get past Loddy. Defensively, Forest have been superb.
Outstanding, got bodies behind the ball, good defensive shape. When the ball has gone into the box, that back three have been first to everything. Just looking at Brentford's system now, and it's pretty difficult to figure out. They've almost gone to a back three of Hickey, Ben Mee and Pinnock, and Bumo's gone out to that left hand side. De Silva coming on is playing off this right hand side, and Sharda's, it's almost like Visser in behind Sharda and Ivan Toney now.
Well, the thing is that when Wisser came on and Mbeumo was ready to take the corner kick on the near side, the right, he had a word with him, almost as if to say to Mbeumo, you're going to have to play left back. But that area has been vacated because he's so high up on that left-hand side.
It's more like left wing, and Josh De Silva, rather than wing backs.
But that area there is something that Forest can exploit as they look to try and get Johnson in on the Forest right. Because Hickey primarily is still playing as a right back.
Yeah,
so there's a lopsided feel to that.
Yeah, it's almost a lopsided feel to it. Obviously, Thomas Frank not happy with what he's seen from his team, so he's just trying to go a little bit more attacking, but that will leave more space for Nottingham Forest now on the counter-attack to go and get a second and really kill this game off.
Charlton 2, Port Vale 1. Port Vale have a goal back at the Valley in League 1. Where will we go next on 5 Live? Back to Brighton, not another goal surely, Jonathan.
No, but 5-0 up. Why settle for that? They've brought Mitoma on. They're now bringing McAllister on and Caicedo on. Fair enough. Brighton 5, Wolves 0.
Earlier, Crystal Palace 4, West Ham United 3. So not many games in the Premier League, but certainly no shortage of goals. Nottingham Forest are about to make a change. Now Northampton looking for automatic promotion. They were trailing to Bradford City by 1-0. Another goal, Chris Temple.
They've equalised, and they've done it through Max Dyche, the son of Everton manager Sean's first ever professional goal. 1-1 as he headed in from close range. It still won't be enough to take them up today, but it has lifted this crowd. Northampton 1, Bradford 1.
So Stevenage still leading Grimsby by 1-0. Stevenage will be getting promoted, but the draw not good enough for Northampton. Because results elsewhere are going against them. The change for Nottingham Forest is going to be Kouyaté, who's going to be coming on, and it is going to be Brennan Johnson, who is going off. So his 150th appearance in all competitions for Brennan Johnson comes off, and Kouyaté, well, they're going to lose something going forward in terms of the pace of Johnson, but Kouyaté will just offer that bit more insurance in the midfield.
Yeah, he looks like he's done something. Just went down after that passage of play. Jensen overhits the ball in behind and he went down immediately. You just see the physio coming on and almost stretching his calf off or just playing around with his ankle. So Kouyaté, a different type of player coming on, just looking to stiffen up that midfield area.
Back to Brighton, Jonathan Overend.
Now we have got another one for you, Ian. Brighton 6, Wolves 0. Calamity at the back for Wolves. Total mix-up, gave it away. Dennis Undav one-on-one, and he chipped it in slow motion over Jose Sarr. Brighton 6, Wolves 0.
Accrington are going down. Cambridge United might be staying up. It's Accrington 0, Cambridge United 2. Betty Glover.
It's worse for Accrington. Stanley, George Thomas on the counter-attack, takes it down the left, beat the defenders, sent the ball into the bottom right-hand corner. Accrington Stanley now have a big mountain to climb. As it stands, they are going down. Accrington Stanley 0, Cambridge 2.
The last we heard from Stevenage, they were going up. There's been a goal, Henry Moran.
Party very much starting. Stevenage 2, Grimsby 0. It's a substitute, Luther James Wilden, closing down and curling the ball in from the edge of the area. Wild scenes in Hertfordshire. Stevenage 2, Grimsby 0.
Morecambe have just equalised at home to Lincoln, but they are still going to go down because Oxford and MK Dons are both winning. Hartlepool United, there's been a goal, Alistair Yeomans.
A second goal for Hartlepool, Jamie Sterry. You might remember he was on Newcastle's books. I think it was a cross. It went all the way through and in. So Hartlepool are winning. Now they must wish that Walsall score at Crawley. 2-1 Hartlepool.
Yeah, so there is still hope for Hartlepool, but Crawley Town 0, Walsall 0. That point would be enough to still send Hartlepool down despite them leading. Sunderland 0, Watford 2 is a latest score. John Bennett has news of that.
Yes, their playoff push in real danger now, Sunderland. It's another header from another corner. Ryan Porteous this time. Brilliant header. Sunderland 0, Watford 2.
Wimbledon 1, Tranmere 0 in League 2. You're up to date with the goals as they go in on BBC Radio 5 Live, where a number of issues are being settled this afternoon. We're midway through the second half here, and Nottingham Forest are leading by 1-0. A precious, precious goal from Danilo. Following up with that first for the club against Brighton in midweek. MK Dons 4, Barnsley 1, Wickham 0, Cheltenham 2. The Forest fans are making the noise in that far side. Jensen, Brentford probing. along the ground. Tony, heavy touch, balloons away from him, straight towards Andre Ayew, and Andre Ayew's now away from Jensen, and the break is on, and he's got Danilo going ahead of him. Danilo now sends over a cross, but it's too much for Gibbs White to keep in place, surely over on that far side, just a little bit too heavy. Let's get another goal from the Stadium of Light, John Bennett.
Some hope now for Sunderland. They've got one back. Sunderland 1, Watford 2. It's the fans' favourite, Luke O'Neill from close range. Sunderland 1, Watford 2.
I don't know about you, Danny, you can feel the tension inside this stadium.
You certainly can. I have to say, though, Nottingham Forest has been fairly comfortable. Brennan Johnson going off, so Danilo's kind of playing as part of that front three now. That was a good opportunity for him on the counter-attack, just overhitting that cross, but...
Jensen with the cross, headed away by Felipe. They've only won 2 of 15 matches, kicking off at 3 o'clock on a Saturday in the Premier League this season. They were trounced at 3 o'clock at Blackpool, much changed side, albeit in the FA Cup. This would be such a shot in the arm for Nottingham Forest to try and stay in the Premier League. We got 20 minutes remaining as De Silva to Wissa, back to Hickey, couldn't thread it through. Good defending again by Danilo, taken off his toes by Wissa. It'll feel more like 20 hours, I think, for Nottingham Forest. Janel, Wissa pops up in a central area, taken off his toes by Kouyaté. They're just sat in now, Nottingham Forest, and that was a good interception by Lodi, and Lodi will get the free kick for a foul by Sharda.
Good play, Lodi there. They eventually win the ball back. He's driving forward, draws the foul, but they are sitting back, Nottingham Forest, but they've still been aggressive. You know, they're stepping into challenges when Brentford players are getting the ball in certain areas. It's very easy to kind of sit back as a team and be passive and allow players too much space, but they're keeping their shape, and when balls are going into certain areas, they're still being really aggressive, stepping in and winning challenges. Kouyaté there on that occasion wins the ball back for his team, and then Lodi on his left-hand side driving over the halfway line and drawing a foul for his team and relieving a bit of pressure.
Brentford have just made another double change. It's Onyeka and Baptiste who have come on, and it's Janelt and Jensen who have gone off for Brentford, who still trail by 1-0. Steve Cooper in discussions with Alan Tate and Andy Reid down below. Near Kate hits the long free kick for Nottingham Forest, comes back up towards the halfway line. Felipe will get that free kick. It was a wrestling contest between him and Tony, and it goes in favour of the veteran defender.
He's not been at it, Ivan Toney, this afternoon. Body language a little bit as well, hasn't really been too involved in the game. Those 3 Nottingham Forest centre-backs have dealt with him really well. 1 or 2 loose touches here and there from him as well, not really been on the top of his game.
So this free kick for Nottingham Forest, if I've got everything correctly elsewhere around the country, as it stands, we're going to get relegated. Plymouth and Ipswich are getting promoted from League One. Morecambe and Accrington are going down from League One. Stevenage are getting promoted from League Two. Hartlepool are getting relegated. Free kick goes into the penalty area for Nottingham Forest. What an overhead kick that was! It was from Niakate. He's fallen to the floor. It drops to him, and impromptu he just hits it. Scissor kick with his back on the floor, and Tess Raya.
It's an unbelievable effort. As you say, he's lying down on the floor, ball's dropping out of the sky, and he just improvises with a line on the floor, a bicycle kick, and could have easily found that far corner. Unlucky really that he goes straight at Raya and he's able to make the save, but brilliant from the big centre back there.
Certainly this is his 8th successive start after missing such a large part of the season through injury. He's made a difference at the heart of the Forest defence. MK Dons 4, Barnsley 2. Mansfield have got a goal back as they trail at home to Harrogate Town to keep alive their hopes of trying to get into the playoffs in League 2. Derby have equalised at home to Portsmouth 1-1. De Silva swings over across, that safely goes out of play for a goal kick. Forest lead by 1-0. Another goal at Bramall Lane in the Championship. Maz Faruqi.
Substitute John Fleck has put Sheffield United back in front. He finished a counter-attacking move. Woodburn got something on it but couldn't keep it out of the back of his own net. Sheffield United 2, Preston 1.
Thank you, Matt. Sports Report is coming up. We'll try and bring you as much live reaction as we can from not just in the Premier League but from around the grounds. You can hear the 1,700 travelling support making their presence felt. There's been another goal, it's in League Two. It's a game that affects the playoffs. It's at Carlisle. Ailey Barber.
And the home side are back into this one. Joe Garner with a header from a free kick. He thought he'd scored about a minute and a half ago. That one was ruled off for offside. This one stands. It is Carlisle 1, Salford City 2.
Playoff positions at the minute: Stockport, Carlisle, Salford City, Bradford City. Mansfield, though, have moved to back within a point of Bradford for that final remaining berth in the playoff position. But Mark Hughes' side do have a game in hand. No other goals to tell you about. In fact, MK Dons 4, Barnsley 3. So Barnsley got another goal back there at MK Dons. Right, how long we got? 16 minutes left. Throw for Nottingham Forest, still leading by a goal to nil. Can you imagine the celebrations here if Nottingham Forest were to get, for just the second time this season, back-to-back wins in the top flight? The last time it happened was in January. Another goal at Bramall Lane. Maz.
And just like that, Sheffield United have a third, and Jai this time, he deserves that for how he's played this afternoon, but I'll get booked for taking his shirt off in celebration. Sheffield United 3, Preston 1.
It's Gibbs White who's just gone down in the far corner. Gives an opportunity to get an update from Reading. Aaron Paul.
Reading 0, Wigan 0. I said Wigan were going for it, and they've had the best chance of the game. James McLean with a fantastic ball into the middle. Callum Lang coming in with sort of a kung fu kick motion. He volleyed it, and it was straight at Joe Lumley in the Reading goal. Everyone inside this ground was holding their breath. They thought that was in. It looked like it was heading in from up here, but the deadlock remains intact. And as things stand, pound in the jar, Wigan are getting relegated. Reading 0, Wigan 0.
No other goals elsewhere. Close your eyes, you could be in Nottingham, couldn't you? Hard to believe that 1,700 fans can make as much noise as they are. Forest still protecting this slender lead. Niakate matching Sharda, stride for stride. Out it goes for a throw. And there's further change. It's going to be the final change for Brentford, the 5th and final change. And it's going to be Godos who's going to be coming on. All of his 13 Premier League appearances this season now have been as a substitute. The Iranian international is coming on, and it is Sharda, the player, who goes off. Sharda still yet to score since he arrived. 15 appearances now. Leicester City and Everton will find themselves under increasing pressure if it stays like this when they meet on Monday. Leeds United will have to respond at Bournemouth tomorrow. Nottingham Forest, with the worst away record in the Premier League, are producing 3 points when they needed it most. Their only away win was Southampton back in January. 6 straight away defeats in the Premier League since then. They've collected 1 point out of possible 21. But Steve Cooper's side lead here by a goal to nil, and we've got 13 minutes remaining of normal time. As he shields the sun from his eyes, dressed out all in black in that tiny technical area. Bolton 2, Fleetwood 0 is the latest score in League One. Brentford struggling to find a way past them.
They are. You know, he's tried everything, Thomas Frank. He's emptied the bench. He's changed the system more to a 3-4-3 system, but hasn't really had the desired effect, has it?
Niakate once again.
Superb.
Absolutely.
He's got that left thigh strapped. He was a doubt coming into this game, but he hasn't put a foot wrong up until this point. He has been superb.
I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, I know some might argue that they've got the squad to deal with it, but they've got about 12 or 13 players, haven't they, who are missing?
They certainly have. You know, all that talk about the amount of players that Nottingham Forest signed start of the season, I think Steve Cooper's delighted to have the size squad that he has now, because they do have a number of injuries to key players, but still able to pick a strong bench this afternoon.
Pinnock with the throw. It's a long one from the right-hand side in the penalty area. Worrell gets there not just once but twice to head the ball away. Comes out to Hickey, hits it towards Pinnock off the chest. We're going to Hartlepool in a moment as Hickey swings over the cross from the right-hand side. and that will drop out of play, and it goes behind for a corner. There's been a sending off at Hartlepool. Alistair Yeomans.
Harrison Neal on loan from Sheffield United to Barrow, sent off, second bookable offence. Hartlepool 2, Barrow 1.
Hartlepool are doing their bit, but they need a favour from Walsall. Crawley 0, Walsall 0. If it stays like that, Hartlepool will be dropping out of the Football League and back into the National League. We've got just over 10 minutes remaining. Brentford looking for an equaliser. Corner kick, far side, in towards the head of Pinnock. Overhead kick comes in from Ben Mee. Over the top of the crossbar. Now there's been a goal at Reading, Aaron Paul.
Reading 0, Wigan 1. They are still alive, Ian. Ball in from the left-hand side, and unmarked to the back stick was Charlie Hughes, who nodded down past Joe Lumley into the corner of the net. And there is silence from 20,000 Reading fans in here, and all those Wigan fans to my right have gone absolutely bananas. Their side are fighting. They're still fighting. They are staying in the Championship as things stand. Reading 0, Wigan 1.
But Reading would be going down, and that would be 12 games without a win. Wigan could still go down in the next day or two, depending on results. Huddersfield Town tomorrow are at Cardiff. Rotherham play Middlesbrough on Monday, but they're at least keeping their hopes alive for Wigan Athletic. Tranmere have equalised at Wimbledon. That's 1-1 in League Two. I'll rattle through all the scores for you in the next 10 minutes or so before Sports Report. But it's tight and it's tense here at Brentford. Nottingham Forest still leading by a goal to 0. Kouyaté with the foul. Referee gives a direct free kick here now for Brentford. Fractionally right of centre. What are they, just 25 yards out from goal?
Yeah, just mistimed the challenge there. Kouyaté, it's a heavy touch from Onyeka, I think it is. And he goes chasing after it, and that just invites Kouyaté into the challenge. He can't resist and doesn't quite get there. Opportunity for Brentford here. It's that kind of area where you can do both. You can cross the ball to the far post, or you can take the shot on. Because Ivan Toney just placing the ball down here, eyeing this one up.
Just as a correction, Reading wouldn't go down today. They would then be dependent on the results of Rotherham and Huddersfield tomorrow and Monday. Just to offer a little bit of clarification, and apologies for any potential scare there for Reading. Mangala's coming off. Ryan Yates is coming on for Nottingham Forest. To a huge ovation from the travelling support. Mangala has worked very, very hard, tirelessly in the midfield. It's a direct free kick for Brentford, and we've got 9 minutes remaining. Forest lead by a goal to 0. BBC Radio 5 Live. Now, the referee Peter Banks is making sure everybody's back. It's Toney and Mbeumo who stand over this free kick. It's right of centre. It's 25 yards out from goal, maybe a shade more. In the sunshine here. Toney runs up now, hits it right foot, it takes a deflection, it's gone in. Came back off the post, might well go down as an own goal from Navas. But Ivan Toney, who's done very, very little throughout the afternoon with a direct free kick, and Forest couldn't hang on, and Brentford have got a late equaliser. 1-1.
And there's two people that'll be disappointed from a Forest point of view. Kouyaté initially giving away the free kick, and Keylor Navas, he should save this for me. The position of the free kick is more suited to a left footer to kind of go over the wall. It's on this right hand side, but Ivan Toney takes it on and he whips it around the wall, and he just doesn't get across quick enough, Keylor Navas. He actually gets his hand to it. He should really keep that out. He almost pushes it onto the post and into the goal, comes back off him and into the goal. For me, goalkeeper needs to do better there.
Forest were so close, so close. They would have probably taken a point ahead of the game, but when you get to the 82nd minute and you're leading by a goal to 0, you start thinking of the 3. Let's go to Pat Murphy at Stoke City.
The news about Reading has gone down very well with the QPR supporters, because if QPR match the Reading score and they're leading 1-0 here, they definitely stay up there. 2,000 of them, and they're chanting, "We are staying up." It's Stoke 0, QPR 1.
Carlisle, who are down to 10 men. There's been a goal there at Brunton Park. Ailey Barber.
The red card coming at the time that the goal happened. John Millish sent off for reacting when the penalty was awarded to Carlisle. Joe Garner taken down. Up stepped Christian Dennis. He put Carlisle level. Carlisle need to win this game to give themselves a chance of an automatic promotion place on the final day. Salford City need points to stay in the playoff places. It is currently Carlisle 2, Salford City 2, with a lively final 5 to come.
Goal in League One for Shrewsbury, Paul Scott.
Shrewsbury 0, Sheffield Wednesday 3. A hat-trick for Sheffield Wednesday's leading scorer, Michael Smith. A composed finish from the edge of the area. The Owls are 3 goals to the good, but it might not be enough to keep their automatic promotion hopes alive. 3-0 they lead Shrewsbury.
Accrington have got a goal back, but are still going down. Accrington 1, Cambridge 2. Betty Glover.
Yes, Stanley are back in this thanks to Aaron Pressley from the penalty spot. It wasn't the cleanest, it hit the bar but ended up going into the back of the net because Michael Morrison brought down Sean Wally in the area. As it stands, they're still going down, but they pulled one back. Stanley 1, Cambridge 2.
Foul and Bumo on near Casse. Free kick to Nottingham Forest. Gillingham 1, Newport 2, Crewe 1, Swindon 1, and elsewhere it's now Leyton Orient 0, Stockport County 3. We've got 6 minutes remaining of normal time. That Tony goal, by the way, before today, only Dave McCulloch has ever scored 20 or more goals in the top flight for Brentford. He did it 3 times, the last in 37-38, but for Tony that takes him to 20 in the Premier League. What a season Ivan Toney has had for Brentford. As Gibbs White runs forward now, left-hand side of the penalty area for Nottingham Forest. 1-1 then here. And it's a scoreline that I'm sure will still offer hope for fans of Leeds United, Leicester City and Everton as we reach the business end of the season here in the Premier League. And how long have we got? We've got 5 minutes remaining. These are the latest scores in League 2. Wimbledon 1, Tranmere 1, Carlisle 2, Salford 2. Crawley 0, Walsall 0. Crawley are staying up. Hartlepool will be relegated as it stands, despite Hartlepool leading against the 10 men of Barrow by 2 goals to 1. Crewe 1, Swindon 1. Doncaster 1, Colchester 0. Gillingham 1, Newport County 2. Hartlepool 2, Barrow 1. Ball played forward towards Tony. Right-hand side of the penalty area. Tony holds off Felipe, chopped down was he? The referee says no. Forest defending well and get the ball out from Renan Loddy. Elsewhere, Gillingham 1, Newport 2, Hartlepool 2, Barrow 1, Leyton Orient 0, Stockport 3, Mansfield 1, Harrogate 2, Northampton 1, Bradford City 1. In comes the ball into the penalty area, headed away by Aurier. Northampton won't be promoted today. Gibbs White tries to get Andre Ayew away, but Stevenage are going up. They lead Grimsby by 2 goals to 0, and relegated Rochdale leads Sutton by 4 goals to 1. Another goal at Carlisle. Ailey.
What an end to this game. Salford City back in front, and it is a beautiful goal from Luke Bolton, cutting in from the right hand side, a left foot curling effort, top corner, and it is Carlisle 2, Salford City 3.
4 minutes remain. Latest scores in League 1. Accrington 1, Cambridge 2. Accrington going down. Bolton 2, Fleetwood 0. Charlton 3, Port Vale 1. Danilo has stayed down, much to the annoyance of the Brentford supporters. Derby 1, Portsmouth 1. Forest Green 0, Oxford United 3. That would keep Oxford United up. Ipswich getting promoted, hammering Exeter by 6 goals to 0. MK Dons 4, Barnsley 4. What a fight back by Barnsley. MK Dons, they were 4-1 up. Morecambe 3, Lincoln City 2. So Morecambe all of a sudden have turned it around, and Morecambe might well be staying up. Peterborough 0, Bristol Rovers 0. Plymouth 1, Burton 0. Plymouth getting promoted with Ipswich despite Sheffield Wednesday winning away at Shrewsbury by 3 goals to 0. Wickham 0, Cheltenham 2. And in fact, with that scoreline, nobody as it stands now, with MK Dons no longer winning, are going to get relegated today. So that goal from Barnsley, getting it back to 4-4, temporarily saving Accrington as well as Morecambe. Danny, I'll give you the championship ones in a minute.
You just lost me with that, Denny, to be honest with you.
It's all right, I've got a second wind. Latest scores in the championship: Bristol City 1, Burnley 2, Coventry 2, Birmingham 0. Coventry looking to consolidate a place in the playoffs. Hull 1, Swansea 1, Reading 0, Wigan 1. Wigan keeping alive their faint hopes. Reading, well, they were going to have a nervous wait with games for Huddersfield tomorrow and Rotherham on Monday. Not what Reading wanted. Winless in 12. Sheffield United 3, Preston 1, Stoke 0, Queen's Park Rangers 1, Sunderland 1, Watford 2. A blow for Sunderland and their playoff aspirations. That would leave them 3 points behind Millwall going into the final day. In the Premier League, Crystal Palace 4, West Ham 3 was the result. Brighton are battering Wolves 6-0, and it remains 1-1 here, and we are up to date after I've told you Crewe 2, Swindon 1, and we have 2 minutes remaining. Sports Report coming up with Mark Chapman. All the results, all the reaction. Danilo looks like he's got is that a hamstring he's nursing?
Yeah, he just went down with cramp. Had a half chance on inside the 18-yard box, and he was a bit of an air shot, and he went down immediately after, and Josh De Silva was actually remonstrating with Raya because he actually wanted Brentford to play on, but you don't have to stop the game for cramp. But looks like he's going to come back on, but hobbling.
Brentford are attacking. De Silva goes down the line. Mbuma on the right-hand side. Back towards Hickey. Swings over a right-footed cross. Ball drops towards Onyeka, who hits it first time right-footed. Navas made the save away to his left, and then he had him scrambling for the rebound. Another player has gone down. Forest have worked themselves into the ground today, and a number of players are suffering with fatigue.
Yeah, he's gone down again, Danilo. This is a much better save from Navas. Ball into the box, and he just drops them to the edge. Onyeka hits, and it actually comes off Visser. Navas is like moving initially to his right, and he has to react and quickly change direction back onto his left and dive low to his left and makes a really good save. But just looking at the goal, the other thing you say about Navas, did he have the wall kind of set up correctly as well? Because for Ivan Toney to whip it around the wall into that corner, did he have the wall set up correctly? You wouldn't think he should be able to whip it around the wall into that corner, and then he's just slow to get across, gets his hands to it, but doesn't keep it out. You'd be really disappointed with it.
He's feeling his hamstring as Danilo has been helped off the field of play. Let's go back to Reading. Aaron Paul.
Reading 0, Wigan 1. We are in to the first of 9 whole minutes of added on time here. What a fantastic effort this has been for Wigan Athletic. Charlie Hughes with his first ever professional goal. Looks like it's going to enable Wigan to stay up to fight another day. Jack Watmore, by the way, has just gone close to a second for Sean Maloney's side. He's drilled a shot into the arms of the grateful Joe Lumley in the Reading goal. Silence around Medeski Stadium as the ball's picked into the middle. Shouts for a penalty. Corner given to Reading. Reading 0, Wigan 1.
Wycombe 0, Cheltenham 3. We are about to find out how much stoppage time we've got. 7 minutes of added on time. Brentford 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Mbuma inside, Onyeka, me. Every outfield player is in the half away towards our right hand side, and Forest have got everybody back behind the ball. Brentford being urged on by their supporters. Let's go to Plymouth now. John Akers.
They're 1-0 up with 6 minutes of added time. There's 4 of those 6 left. Argyle 1, Burton 0. If they hang on, they're promoted for the first time in 13 years. The fans are all around the pitch standing. Argyle 1, Burton 0.
Forest attempt, they're down to 10 men. They can't replace the injury to Danilo as Hickey turns, shoots, goes through, almost goes all the way past Navas. Agonisingly close. It remains 1-1, and there's been a goal at Reading. Aaron Paul.
Reading 1, Wigan 1. It's the scrappiest of messiest of goals, but Noel Hunt and co don't care. Neither do the 20,000 inside this stadium. It looks like it's gone in off Tyrese Forner, the substitute. We can't actually see who it's gone in off. We're so high up here in the sky, and it's ricocheted off 4 or 5 Reading bodies and flown in past Jamie Jones in the Wigan goal. Heartbreak for Wigan. They still have 7 minutes though to try and protect their championship status. Reading 1, Wigan 1. As things stand, Wigan are being relegated.
A dramatic afternoon in the Football League, a dramatic afternoon in the Premier League here on BBC Radio 5 Live. We're 2 minutes in to the 7 minutes of added on time, and there's been a late goal at Victoria Park at Hartlepool. Alistair Yeomans.
Hartlepool have done their bit. They've scored a third. Connor Jennings. All eyes now down to Crawley, where the last I heard it was 0-0 with Walsall.
Yep, it still is. So they need a Walsall goal to take it to the final day. Forest are down to 10. They've brought on 3 substitutions at 3 different intervals, so therefore they cannot. They've only used 3 substitutes. They are not allowed to bring on a 4th substitute, and that's the reason why Forest are down to 10 with Danilo off the field with what looked like a hamstring injury. I would say that he's going to have a race to be fit for the Southampton home game on May the 8th. Mbuma. Late pressure here from Brentford. Ball played infield by De Silva. Onyeka. Sliding in was Loddy, commits himself and goes to ground. And De Silva's away from him on the right hand side, and De Silva with a cutback. Near Kate is there again. They appeal for handball. This is going to be a really long 4 minutes of added on time. Danny Gavidon.
Yeah, the game has suddenly flipped, doesn't it? If you're Forest now, you just want to get out of here with a point, down to 10 men. that equaliser's woken Brentford up. It's incessant pressure now, backs against the wall. You take a point all day here.
Pinnock, out it goes to that far side. Godos plays the ball inside. Onyeka lets it come across his body, turns 30 yards out from goal. Out towards De Silva on the right hand side. 1-1 on 5 Live in the World Service. De Silva gets away from the challenge. De Silva shoots, and De Silva scores! For the first time this season, Brentford have come from behind to win a game in the Premier League, and they break the hearts of Nottingham Forest, but they offer hope for the other troubled sides such as Leeds United, Leicester and Everton, and Nottingham Forest remain in real peril. It's Brentford 2, Nottingham Forest 1.
Yeah, it's a brilliant goal from Josh De Silva, the substitute. Navas beaten again on that near post, but this time it's a little bit more difficult because the shot comes through bodies, but he can't be allowed to come back inside. Josh De Silva onto his favoured left foot, has to be kept towards that kind of byline, really onto his right. He's not. I think it's Lodi who's facing him up. He comes inside of him, and then it's slow to kind of come out and engage and help Lodi. He's able to kind of get the strike when he just whips it in towards that near post, and there's a couple of Nottingham Forest bodies in the way. The shot comes through, and Navas again, who's standing on that near post, is beaten. Maybe question the goalkeeper a little bit again there.
Hold on, there is a VAR check for a possible offside, as if the drama couldn't get any more. The VAR having a look at this for a potential offside. That's why all of a sudden there's just been a groan. And there's a goal at Sunderland, John Bennett.
Huge goal for Sunderland to keep playoff hopes alive. It's Sunderland 2, Watford 2, a Patrick Roberts curler. Sunderland 2, Watford 2.
Hard to tell with the glare off the screen, but as that shot comes in, there is a player in an offside position, and I'm just wondering...
Does it hit Visser as well, maybe? Does it hit Visser, or is it just the eye-line one, maybe, then?
Or is he in the way of the eye-line of Kayla Navas? So the fourth official, Neil Swarbrick, will be having a look at this. So much resting on this decision.
Oh, that is tight as well. Look at that. Just looking at the screen, that is a really tight one. It's the knee of Visser.
On that angle, I'd say he's offside.
Oh, and Yates is kind of left foot. I think this might be onside.
Well, Neil Swarbrick, they will have to take their time because there is so much riding on this decision.
And it looks onside.
The green line has been shown. The goal stands. That was an agonising wait. And through the din, I think I'm hearing a goal at Northampton. Chris Temple.
Northampton 1, Bradford 2. Romany Critchlow with the winner for Bradford in added time at the end of the game. Northampton definitely going nowhere today. Bradford still alive in the promotion race.
They're still playing at Crawley, incidentally. Crawley 0, Walsall 0 as it stands. Hartlepool are going to get relegated. Northampton's promotion hopes are still on hold. Stevenage, though, are going up. Bradford City there. And we're going to go Henry around at Stevenage.
Stevenage 2, Grimsby 0 for the first time in 9 years. Stevenage will be playing in the third tier. Some achievement for a side narrowly avoiding the drop last season. Fans on the pitch, the party starting. Stevenage 2, Grimsby 0.
That goal for Brentford, incidentally, is the 5th time that they've scored a goal in the 90th minute or later. It's the most of any side. Full time now at Hartlepool, Alistair Yeomans.
Hartlepool 3, Barrow 1. They've done their bit, but it might not be enough depending on what happens at Crawley.
They're still playing at Crawley, and that draw 0-0 at home to Walsall would send Hartlepool down. How much added on time? By my watch, the 7 minutes are up. That was the minimum of 7 minutes. Steve Cooper can't believe it. His side, up until the 82nd minute, were leading by a goal to 0. As Felipe throws himself into a challenge. They've conceded now 16 goals, Forest, in the last 15 minutes of games. It's the highest number in the Premier League, and it could prove costly when they think they've got Southampton at home to come, Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, and Crystal Palace away. Full time now at Plymouth. Celebrations at Home Park. John Akers.
The Green Army stream onto the pitch. Plymouth 1, Burton 0. Argyle have done it. Back in the Championship after 13 years away, thanks to Niall Ennis's goal. Argyle 1, Burton 0. They're back in the Championship.
And Ipswich are going up with them as well, despite Sheffield Wednesday winning away by 3 goals to 0. 2-1. Brentford in added on time, leading. Ball sent away towards Mbuma. Full time now at Reading, Aaron Paul.
Reading 1, Wigan 1. Wigan are relegated to League One despite the most valiant of efforts this afternoon. It wasn't to be for them. Charlie Hughes thought he was keeping them up with 9 minutes to go as they went 1-0 up. But a late goal from Yaku Mate sinks Wigan and sinks their fans' hearts. They've been magnificent all afternoon. Their players on their haunches, as are the Reading players. They're still banging trouble, level on points with Huddersfield down at the bottom of the Championship. Reading still below the dotted line. Huddersfield have 2 games in hand over the Royals as well. So Reading still very much in trouble. Wigan down. Reading 1, Wigan 1.
Charlton 3, Port Vale 2 is the latest score in League One. By my watch, we're now into the 9th minute of added on time. And Nottingham Forest so close, but the side with the worst away record in the Premier League couldn't hang on to what was a slender lead. And Brentford, for the first time this season, coming from behind to win a game in the top flight, leaves Forest really embroiled right in the thick of it in that relegation fight, with Leeds United at Bournemouth tomorrow and Leicester against Everton. Full time at Portman Road. Flo Pollock. Can't get to Flo just at the moment, but Ipswich Town going up with Plymouth. And now we can get to Flo.
Full-time Ipswich 6, Exeter 0. Ipswich Town secure promotion to the Championship. Their top scorer, Connor Chaplin, got things started on 8 minutes after that. The floodgates opened. Portman Road is brimming with joy. They'll remember this for years to come. Ipswich Town are promoted back to the Championship. Full-time score, Ipswich 6, Exeter 0.
Long free kick from Nottingham Forest. Decision goes in favour of Brentford on the edge of their penalty area. We're now in the 10th minute. But for Nottingham Forest, it's a case of what might have been.
You've got to feel for Steve Cooper, then, you really do. I don't think Nottingham Forest have deserved to lose this game. Obviously going down to 10 men, the Danilo injury, not able to bring a sub on, that didn't help. But, they've controlled this game for large parts. Brentford have been not very good, to be honest with you. They haven't really offered too much. They've not been on their levels. And then you're looking for your goalkeeper maybe then to pull out a couple of big saves to keep it at 1-0, and Kevin Navas hasn't been able to do that. For me, the 2 goals, I think he could have done better with both of them. So for Nottingham Forest to not get anything from this, it's looking like it's going to go that way. Going to be really disappointing, because for the most part they've been very good. It's been a good performance from them.
We're now in the 11th minute. That's the voice of Danny Gabidon, and there is the final whistle. It's a quick out here because Sports Report with Mark Chapman is on its way. But for Nottingham Forest, it promised so much, but ultimately it's delivered nothing, as they threw away a 1-goal lead with 2 late goals for Brentford, who've won this one here. Brentford 2, Nottingham Forest 1.
And it means come Monday night, Forest will drop into the bottom 3. Leicester and Everton, the 2 teams below them, they play each other. Even if it's a draw, Leicester would move out of the bottom 3 on goal difference. That's how vital those 2 Brentford goals were as regards Nottingham Forest's perilous position into the Championship. Sheffield United beat Preston. Let's go there, Maz.
Yeah, chance of We Are Premier League here at Bramall Lane. 4-1. Sheffield United have won their final home game of the season. Preston making it interesting on the hour mark when Liam Delap directed in the equaliser. They were 1-0 up at half time, Sheffield United, but 2 counter-attacking moves in the space of 3 minutes put this game to bed. Substitute John Fleck with Sheffield United second, Ilman and Jai with a third, Ollie McBurney adding a 4th in stoppage time. Full-time Sheffield United 4, Preston 1.
Big game has just finished in League 2. Crawley 0, Walsall 0. Crawley stay in League 2. Hartlepool, despite the fact that they beat Barrow earlier, are relegated. Morecambe have beaten Lincoln 3-2 in League 1. 2 other sides fighting to stay in the division. Accrington, Stanley and Cambridge. Betty Glover.
Finished here, Accrington Stanley 1, Cambridge 2. Big win for Cambridge United at the bottom. They dominated most of the game. Harrison Dunk opened the scoring just before the break, before George Thomas came off the bench to make it 2-0. His first goal for the club. Stanley looked down and out, but pulled on back from the penalty spot. Chap is not the cleanest from Aaron Presley, but it went in off the post. Stanley got their fight back, dominated the final few moments, but just couldn't find an equaliser. Big 3 points for Cambridge. They're still in the drop zone, but now level on points with MK Dons with a crucial game in hand. There was a long time where Accrington fans thought they were done, but they're not going down today. As it stands, though, they'll need a huge change in goal difference to stay up. At full-time, it finished Accrington Stanley 1, Cambridge 2.
Nobody relegated from League One today because MK Dons blew a 4-1 lead at home to Barnsley, and that finished 4-4. And such is the drama in the Football League that only now, at 3 minutes past 5, can we get details. This is before Sports Report. Can we get details of Brighton's thrashing of Wolves? Jonathan.
And a historic one as well, because it's the first time Brighton have scored 6 or more in a single top division game. A devastating return to form for them. 2 from Undav, 2 from Welbeck, 2 from Pascal Gross, with the star of the show, their 19-year-old Paraguayan, whose value trebled, quadrupled today, I would imagine. Only his second Premier League start, but Julio Enciso had a hand in virtually every goal. Brighton 6, Wolves 0.
Stevenage promoted from League Two today. Northampton could have been as well, but they are going to put their fans through the ringer. Chris Temple.
Yes, and they'll need to win on the final day to be sure of promotion. Market finished here. Northampton 1, Bradford 2. Bradford led in the first half through Andy Cook's header, cancelled out by a first professional goal from Max Deitch, son of Sean, on 64 minutes. It was all Northampton in the second half, but Bradford stole it from a 94th minute header from Romany Critchlow. Bradford keeper Harry Lewis was inspired. Bradford could still harbour some automatic hopes themselves. They're now almost booked for the playoffs at worst. Northampton 1, Bradford 2.
Yeah, they're 5 points off Northampton, but they've got 2 games left to play. Bradford, they're 3 points ahead of Mansfield. Bradford occupying the final playoff spot at the moment. Let's go back to the Championship. Not great for Sunderland this afternoon, but it could have been worse. John Bennett.
Yes, a lot worse. Sunderland 2, Watford 2. Great comeback in the end, even though they really needed a win. Cabaselli and Porteous for Watford, 2 headers. O'Nien and a brilliant Roberts curler for Sunderland. They're 2 points off the top 6. Sunderland finished 2-2.